Welcome to My The Asshole Podcast. Let's get into it. Today, we have our first guest. And I hope you guys enjoy the conversation we're going to have. We're also going to be looking over a scenario that has been sent in for the guest. And we'll be watching a video, getting the guest's point of view on it and things like that. But before we start, thank you so much for all the support. Almost 300 downloads on Spotify. Wild. Absolutely nuts. Thank you guys so much for all that support. That is amazing. TikTok. Keep the comments coming. I'm loving it. We're having laughs, good times over there, and I love that so much. As well as Patreon. Patreon is moving. It's moving and grooving. It's steady, and I just keep the support coming. I appreciate you guys so much. Patreon, you get an episode every Friday. You also get to send in your questions, just like someone did today for today's episode, and just be able to chit chat with your boy. YouTube, we're gonna work on that. We're getting our numbers up there. So. We have our guest today. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Brian Jones. I'm Aaron Jones's father, and it's a pleasure to be here with you, son.
All right. So today we're going to go ahead and talk about intersexual dynamics and how that's changed over the years from when you were a kid in high school and to how it is now with the technological age. Right now, a lot of philosophers are saying that we are in another .com boom, and everything is on the internet, everything, media that we consume. Nobody really looks at newspapers or the news or anything like that. And everything is online, from random people like you and I. And so I wanted to get your opinion on just how, and dating has become that, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Online dating used to be the weirdest thing ever, and so now it's this wild phenomenon where it is normalized. So I wanted to get your take on that. How was dating when you were a kid, say middle school to high school? How was dating for you as a kid?
Dating for me was meeting someone organically. When I say organically, is you come across each other and your spirits are so interested in one another that you spark up a conversation. Normally you go do something physical. What I notice nowadays is everybody's online. Everything is online. I used to throw in those newspapers, and you know that because you used to come with me in the car.
That I did.
So that information is ready available. It's an instantaneous society right now. Yeah. Information, everything is at the snap of a finger, something delivered, something purchased.
Yeah.
My opinion is, like I said, it was more organic, meeting someone, and I still feel that way to this day. Mm-hmm. I have friends that say, hey, I'd like to set you up to go on a date or something like that. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's not organic. Now I'm under pressure to please this person, or we may meet up and instantly our energy doesn't intertwine. Mm-hmm. So that's what I mean by being organic. Mm-hmm. I prefer the more organic. You come across somebody and it's natural, and then that way when you do meet up for a date, it's more organic. You guys already have an idea of who each other are. It's not this expectation. So I prefer the organic way, but I understand how society has moved so fast that we want instant gratification. Mm-hmm. So a part of me likes the instant gratification too, just not in the dating.
Yeah. No, I understand that. No, definitely.
Yeah.
I would say you were probably in high school. I would say the late 80s to early 90s.
Yeah, I graduated in 90.
Okay.
So I started high school in 84.
Okay.
And so I went to high school in two capacities. I went to two different high schools because I have friends at both high schools. So the beginning of my high school, I was a different kind of guy. I was a surfer. Mm-hmm. I was a black surfer, so that was already put me at a different. I skateboarded and I did all this crazy.
Because that was not the norm for the time. That was wild in the 80s.
And what's crazy is I grew up in the same neighborhood with Snoop Dogg, Warren G, all these guys, and I'm friends with them and going to school with them. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't a gangbanger. So that was really interesting in my life because I was associated with the gangsters by living with them and growing up with them. But then on the other hand, I would go and hang out in wealthy areas and get and meet up and make connections with guys who were doing things with business, who were actually going to university and figuring out what they wanted in a future. And so my growing up to me is not the average. I had a taste of both worlds. You know, I had a taste of being in the urban environment with the hip hop and the lowriders and Latinos and Asians and blacks. And then I also was fortunate to be exposed to people that were wealthier and their parents were lawyers and their parents may have been doctors. And so I felt very fortunate like that, you know, and I think that's why you and your brother are so intelligent and so motivated because you have those extra experiences. So, I mean, I guess to sum it up, that's how my upbringing was. But as far as dating, you know, people got together more so back then than they do nowadays. You know, like I have a lot of friends on the internet that we follow each other, but we've never met in person. So growing up for me, if you said you had a friend, you knew them physically. You know, you guys went and did things together. You guys met each other either playing sports, going to school, hanging out in the local skating rinks, malls, dance halls. So that's what I think was a lot different as far as me coming up in the 90s and the 80s, as far as you guys coming up in the 2000s, you and your brother. You know, a lot more technology. And it's a trip because when I saw the times from the tape deck to the CD to downloading music, I knew that the children were going to be a lot more advanced because the information is so readily available. Like even to this day, I still go to the physical library because I enjoy that. That's a part of my childhood. But not a lot of guys in your age category really know about the library. I mean, you do because I took you as a kid to the library. You know, I did that as a parent, but most children, you know, since information is so readily available either on a tablet or your phone or a watch, you know, you kind of don't need to go to the library that much, you know. Information is at your fingertips. So it was really cool to see that transition to now, you know, to have been a child in the era where none of this existed to it existing, seeing it come to fruition. So.
And I like your take on it because a lot of my viewers are probably very younger. They're closer to my age, things like that. And I feel people my age, we have an idea of what it was like in the 80s, what it was like in the 90s. You know what I mean? Because obviously those styles are coming back. Those trends are coming back, things like that. But it hasn't really been a thing. Obviously, it's like the trends of the 80s and 90s with the dating practices of the 2010s and 2020s and so on. So it's weird to have this mesh of it. Obviously you guys just had it was one age, it was one time, and this was it. And I feel like a lot of people think they understand it, but then when they talk to someone who's actually lived it, such as yourself, then they're like, oh, that was really how it was. And some people live in denial. They're like, no, what are you talking about? And you're like, what do you mean? I lived it.
Exactly. That's why when I tell you I'm speaking from experience, it's just not my opinion. It's the experience that I had.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I wanted to talk about that, because obviously dating is a hot topic on the internet right now. And to have somebody's insight, because a lot of people love to poke at we want dating to be how it used to be. And it's like, okay, well, how did dating used to be? And then they can't explain it to you. And they're like, oh, well, they go back to the 1950s model of the nuclear family, which is great. And that's fine. But what was it really like? You know what I mean? What was it really like meeting a woman? What was it really like going out and pursuing someone and having quote unquote game and being able to talk to someone and meet up with them, go on a date and organically. I also have another topic for you. How has the viewpoint of masculinity changed from when you were a young guy, say 95 to 2000, you were probably like what, in your 20s around that time.
Yep.
Yeah.
27, 25.
Exactly. Just becoming a man, learning your masculinity, learning, what it takes to be a man and how to operate in society, to how it is now where they feel like being masculine is bad in a sense. What are your thoughts on that from, when you were a young guy to, you are now?
Okay. What I will say is there has been a push to demasculate men. We're in an era right now where women are really using their sexuality. They're aware that, sex sells and their body has a certain value to it. But from the old school, and this is speaking from experience, you attract who you are. And I'll break that down. If your intentions are good and your motivations are not to take advantage of people, but to enhance their experience in life by being around you and in hopes they do the same for you, that's where we should be as a human being, period, regardless of race, color, creed.
Yeah.
But there's been, when I was growing up, you didn't have a lot of sex selling things, sex selling a hamburger, sex selling a car, sexuality even in cartoons. Now that I look back, I see it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, wow, that was crazy. That was in that cartoon.
Yeah.
But I just think when I was growing up in the 80s, the 70s, the 90s, it was a little more innocent.
Okay.
So when it comes to sexuality, sex is selling everything. So, and it's being pushed on the kids earlier. Now, as far as demasculating men, I've noticed that that's been a push maybe the last 20 years, and it started with the skinny jeans, girls wearing, and I remember skaters, it started with them, and they would go buy the girl jeans so they could have the skinniest jeans, and I saw the trend coming there, and then putting men in slim suits and making it more feminine, doing your eyebrows and things of that nature. And at first I was just like, okay, well, maybe this is for the movies. But then as I start seeing the LGBTQ movement being put more in the open, then I'm like, okay, I see where they're going with this.
Okay.
This was the groundbreaking of a push for a lot of gay movements, a lot of transgender movements. And I feel bad because I feel children shouldn't be exposed to this so early. That's what really hurts me, because you don't allow them to have their innocence. Their innocence is gone early in life. You have children deciding at 5, 6, 7 years old, and they don't know who they are at that time. They need experiences. They need to go through some things. They need to fall and scrape themselves and learn who they are. I have nothing against LGBTQ, but I just feel it doesn't need to be presented to kids so early. Allow them to be a child, allow them to grow. And that's a big part of the male demasculation that you're asking me about. You're seeing how men are being demasculated, and it had a lot to do with them being very open with the LGBTQ community, and I'm sure those feelings of a person that is attracted to the opposite sex, I'm sure those feelings are felt early on, but I think there's a certain time that we should nurture those feelings, and that's after 18, 19, in the 16 area, I'm sure you're going to start experimenting. I experimented at 16, so I'm sure that, but just not anything before 12. Allow them to be a child, allow them to explore, and become who they are. That's a big issue with me, the innocence of the kids. I want kids to be innocent and enjoy that, because once you become an adult and you become aware of what's actually going on in the world with politics, finance, economics, auto industry, the home industry, before you have to start dealing with all of that crap, enjoy your innocence.
Now, I do have a follow-up question to that. If a young man, say 14 years old, came to you and said, how do I be a man? How would you articulate that to someone who is so young, still developing, probably going through puberty, there you go. Going through puberty at the moment, things are changing, feelings are starting to become bigger than they really are and things like that. How would you explain masculinity from, your experiences to someone who's, say, 14 years old?
That starts off with having pride in yourself. Be the example. Anybody can be the example, no matter how you look, no matter how you dress. And when I say be the example, I mean treating people well, treating yourself well, having respect for laws and rules, although you may not agree with them, but it's the right thing to do. And that's the first thing to being a man, to have pride in yourself, make sure you groom yourself, make sure you're clean, you're presenting yourself, because who you are is who you attract. So once you harness that, and there's no problem with having pride in yourself. That's not being arrogant. That's showing the example. We all have a God gene inside of us, a G-O-D, God. We all have a God gene in us, and we are all supposed to be an example for one another. Compassionate, kind, caring, and respectful. So once you harness that, and that goes for a lady too, but since we're talking about a young man being masculine, once you have those characters and traits, then everything else becomes natural to you. You begin to carry yourself with pride and respect. People will see that. When you have that, it'll emanate off of your soul and your being. So that's the first step to masculinity. The second step is being a man of your word. If you say you're going to be somewhere, that you're going to do something, or that you're attempting to accomplish something, let that be true. Be that person.
And I've said that many times on the show. We've gone over numerous accounts of guys going on a date, forgetting their wallet, not paying for the date, being late, all these different things. And it continues to happen over and over and over again. And I just feel like a lot of young men nowadays, between the ages of, I'd say, 12 and 15, maybe even 16, just don't have a good idea of like what it is to really be a man, to, court a woman, to actually, have more than just what people like to say as morals and values. Those are buzz terms. It's like, let's get to the details of those morals, those values. Like you were saying, have integrity. If you're going to do something, say something, be a man of your word, things like that. I just feel like these are just so sub down to buzzwords. And then it's like, okay, cool. Have morals and values, but what morals and values should I have? Are there certain ones I should have? Are there certain ones I shouldn't have? Are the ones that I have now the right ones? You know what I mean? There's just so much confusion around that. And I'm glad that you articulated it very well in the way you did, because you broke it down instead of just saying, oh, being a man requires morals and values. Yeah. And then the viewer's like, that's great, but what are those morals and values? You know what I mean? And so...
And a good man, too, he straddles the line of being strong and kind and caring. You have to know when to have that balance. And me, being 51 years old, I just found that balance, I say, within the last 10 years of being a father, being a man in society, being a son, being a husband. Being a man is knowing how to have that balance, to know how to be nurturing and kind and respectful, and then at the same time to be stern and a man of your word. That, hey, I'm going to do this and do it.
Yeah.
So it's a fine balance.
Almost definitely.
And everyone has to find it. But masculinity doesn't, this is something I wanted to say. I was thinking when you were speaking, masculinity doesn't have to be defined by having big muscles, being the hardest dude in the room. A lot of times you have to look like the loser to be the winner. And that's using your brain. because you don't always beat people up with this. You can beat them up with this and this. And as a black man, a lot of times I have to do that because people are expecting a certain reaction from me. And in order for me to control the situation, I have to outthink them. And outspeak them and not be aggressive. Because aggressive doesn't mean masculine. It just means someone that doesn't have control of their emotions. Never allow anyone to ever dictate how you behave. A lot of times you can win without even saying anything because the person is stuck in their own foolishness and you didn't give it any energy or any attention. So that's masculine as well. Being stoic. That's something that you and I spoke about.
And that was what I was just about to say. I was going to say I wanted to get, with that being said, I wanted to get your thoughts on being a stoic. A lot of women say and express that they want an emotional man. And a lot of times they don't, because obviously they say one thing and their actions prove another. But when you obviously point that out to a woman, they don't understand that and they get defensive and they get upset. Now, I wanted you to kind of break down Stoicism for the viewers out there and how young men can practice Stoicism in their everyday life. Whether, I mean, it's not even sexual dynamics. It's just meeting a stranger, somebody being aggressive towards you, a boss, a coworker, whoever it is. A Stoicism is not just for being in a relationship, but it's for being a functioning person in society itself. So in your personal humble opinion, what is Stoicism?
The easiest way for me to break down Stoicism is when someone is trying to get a reaction of you, don't immediately react. Stop and pause and allow yourself to think. And what that does is that puts them in a shaky position because they're not getting the reaction out of you that they expect. That's the easiest way I can explain it. Depending on the situation is how you use Stoicism, you know, but the main understanding of it is to never allow anyone to control how you behave or to control your emotions. Always have control of your emotions and your faculties and your self-preservation. That's how I go about life. If someone says something to me that they're trying to upset me, a lot of times I'll just look at them and I'll just shake my head. And then they're wondering, what is he thinking? And that's when I get them because they don't know what I'm thinking. With age, I've learned I don't have to exacerbate my energy. And when I say my energy, that's my breath, my thought, or my actions. A lot of things don't even deserve my energy. So that's Stoicism right there, just to not even give them your energy because that's what they want in the first place, is your energy. So that's the easiest way I can explain that. And in each situation, look at it like that. Say, do I need to react? Are you worth me reacting like this? It's really not, because 10 minutes afterwards, you're going to be thinking, well, why did I even waste my time with that? You know? So since I've been practicing Stoicism for so long now, I'm already on it when I see it coming. I'm like, okay, this guy's looking at me weird. You know, he's already expecting me to behave in a certain way. So I just smile and I just keep it pushing. And
I think Stoicism is so important, especially nowadays, because we're in the age of reaction. You know, everybody has an opinion about something. Everybody wants to, you know, chime in and put their 2 cents and things like that. And I feel like if more men especially practice Stoicism, I feel like we'll have a lot less men in jail. We'll have a lot less men beating on women, raping them, things like this. And I might probably have to bleep that out. Oopsie. But it's one of those things that if someone practices this simple technique, it can save them from a huge life fuck up. You know, I've listened to a lot of other podcasts, you know, where they do talk about men who do get overly emotional, and it leads them to a decision that ruins their life, and they're in jail, you know, and things like that.
And that's a big point you make. When I come back to, I was telling you, don't allow people to control how you behave, because I do see that as well. I see, like, that we're going to take the classic example, black guy being pulled over by the cop. Don't ever get into it with a cop. He has the power. So since you know that, then the way you react to him is, sir, no, I don't know why you pulled me over. Then if he becomes belligerent, then that's when you let him know, hey, I understand you don't have my best interests at heart, but here's my license, and that's being stoic. Because when you start to overreacting and acting real characterized, then that's the justification that they have to do whatever they want to you. So being stoic in those situations is so important.
Yeah.
So important. Yeah. And you're the better man for it. Why even waste your energy? You know he has the gun. So don't even test those waters. Have self-control. Have preservation. And then you'll be in control of the situation.
Yeah.
And the cop won't be.
Okay. Yeah, man. Hey, you guys are getting some sauce. But I felt like I had to bring someone in, because when I say a lot of these things, you know, I say them, I would say the point's the same that you make, but I obviously get to that destination a little differently. My thought process is obviously not your thought process, and vice versa. So when I do say these things, a lot of people look at me and they're just like, man, you don't know shit, you know? And I'm like, hey, I'm going to give you the information and you may do with it what you will. And that is something that I had to learn to stop doing, you know, is to receive the information, take that information for what it is and hold on to it. And when I need it, I'm able to use it. And I feel like bringing on somebody who has a little more wisdom, a little more age and experience on them, they hear it and they're like, whoa, he's really regurgitating what he says. You know, he may say it a little differently and things like that, but it's like, it's the same concept and same things. And that's why I wanted to touch on those topics, because these are topics that I talk about on the podcast a lot, you know, and I get called all kinds of different names, you know, misogynist and, know-it-all and this and that. And it's just like, no, I'm just taking information and giving it to the public and giving it to people, who, you know, may need it. And maybe something where you hear it and then you would experience it in life. And then you're like, oh shoot. Because for me, it would be a lot of times where you would tell me certain things and I would just kind of be like, and I put it in the back of my brain. And then when I came to those situations, I'm like, oh, this is what that piece of knowledge was for. And I didn't go through that once or twice and it clicked. It had to go like years. It was 5 to 6 years where I was like, oh my God, what I need to make a change. This ain't working, you know? And so that's when I was telling you that I now believe in the saying, you are never too big for a piece of knowledge.
That's right.
And even if it's something you already know, you know, say somebody says something to you and you're like, oh, I already know that. Don't look at it that way. Look at it as, okay, it's a reminder. You know what I mean? And it's just being brought to you again, because for some reason, the world has a weird way of giving you knowledge just before you need to use it. You know, and it's good to have wise people in your corner, but I know that there aren't a lot of wise people, or I'm sorry, there aren't a lot of people who have wise people in their life. Like me, I'm privileged to have somebody very knowledgeable in my life and to be able to call him my father, you know what I mean? But there are tons of young guys out there who don't have that. They don't have a male figure, or their male figure is a rapper that went to jail for shooting somebody, or their male figure is the gangbanger on the corner just because he's making $10K a week. You know, they feel like, oh, I'm gonna be him. They don't really have life lessons, stuff to really teach them what life is actually about. Because obviously this gangbanger fantasy and, you know, what you see on TV and stuff.
Right.
You don't want to be that.
Nope.
You know what I mean? And a lot of people use the excuse of their environment. And I wanted to bring you on because you come from a gangbanger environment, but you didn't turn out to be a gangbanger.
Right.
You know what I mean? You turned out to be one of the probably most intelligent persons I know. You probably one of the most hardworking person I know. You always had drive and ambition for things that were well out of your reach.
Right.
You know what I mean? And to be able to give people an insight to, hey, even if you grew up in the hood like Long Beach, you can still go hang out with the white kids. You can still be the things that you want to be. You still can have knowledge, and how you procure that knowledge is up to you, of course. But for you couldn't just watch a podcast and procure knowledge.
Right.
You couldn't do that. You had to actually go out and get that knowledge, and you didn't choose the ladder of getting the knowledge from the gangbanger on the street.
Right.
You went to the white kids and got knowledge from them. You see what I mean? And so that's why I really touched on those certain topics, because there's so many young men out there who are so lost.
Yeah.
And it's very sad. Yes, you know, it could be because they don't have a father. It's because, you know, their father is not a man who does practice Stoicism, does procure knowledge over experiences. You know, I feel like a lot of people want to experience the finer things in life so bad that they skip out on all the knowledge. You know, it's like they rather be at the destination than enjoying the journey to the destination.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I feel like you are the type of man that has enjoyed the journey to the destination.
Right.
And when you got there, you're like, what's the next destination?
Exactly.
Because I enjoyed the journey so much. And I feel like there's a lot of people who, you know, they start a podcast or they start a band and stuff like that, and they see their idols and they immediately want to jump to where they're at. And it's like, no. You got to understand. They've been a band for 10 years. They've been doing their podcast for 10 years. You see what I mean? You have to go through the journey. You have to go through the journey before you get to the destination that you're seeking. And once you're at the destination, don't stop. Ask, where are we going next? You know, and you've always taken that philosophy in life, because I've noticed it. You know, you would have a goal for yourself, reach that goal, and then be like, all right, what's next? You know, you were never the type of person who just held a normal job. You were like, I got a normal job and that's great and I'm making good money, but what else can I be doing? You know, how else can I be impacting those around me? Whether it's helping them, whether, you know, it's giving advice, whether it's doing this, that, even the kids in our neighborhood, you know, and they always came to you. You were the house that everybody was at, and all the white people on the street were like, why are all these kids at the black guy's house? You know what I mean? And they're wondering this kind of stuff. I mean, we, like viewers, we had police officers, you know, driving slowly down the street like, you know, and we're wondering like, can I help you?
Over there?
Yeah, you know, because all the kids are there, and they're thinking, oh, is he touching the kids? Is he coercing them? Is he doing this and that? And the kids come back to the parents talking about, oh, Brian is so fun. You know, he bought us ice cream and told us about this story and da-da-da, you know what I mean? And their parents are like, the fuck? What? How much did he pay you to spiel that story? And so for me, it's like, you were never just a father to just me and my brother. You were a father to my friends, you know. You were a father to a lot of the people that I got to know, whether they were just acquaintances or just people I knew, you know, through business or anything like that. You were always that role model to so many people. And when I started this podcast and I started to see the comments of people not really believing the things that I'm saying, maybe because my age or because the way the internet is, everybody has an opinion, and not every opinion can be correct. And so for me, I'm like, okay, you guys don't like my opinion? Well, I'm gonna bring in some facts. You know, because you lived in that era. And for me, you know, I don't really have sympathy for people who decide they can't do anything in life. They have no choice, is what they say. And for me, I'm like, are you kidding me?
Especially being here in America.
That's what I'm saying. Like, your cell phone is the window to the world. And as long as you have a cell phone, you can make money doing anything.
Yeah, you can.
And for me, I'm like, you didn't have those opportunities. You didn't have the privilege of technology and the connection that we have to people now. Like, I can connect with, another podcast halfway across the world, and we can collab together.
Right.
If you started a talk show back in the 90s, you couldn't do that.
Yeah, you had to physically go out and meet people.
Exactly.
Get yourself intertwined in the business, whether it be being a gopher for them, just to be in, and to answer your question, that is back in the day, as we say, that is how I would get involved with things. I would go and volunteer my time for the knowledge until I became knowledgeable for it to be financially profitable for me. So that is a big part of what you were asking. For one, though, I've always been a go-getter, and when I say a go-getter, I mean going out, seeing what's happening, getting myself involved, being a bridge builder. When I say bridge builder, that means connecting with people and building off of their knowledge, them building off of your knowledge. And it's called networking pretty much.
Yeah.
But that was how I was able to get information and become who I am. I've always had a compassion for kids because I really didn't have a father growing up. So I was fortunate to have good men around me. I have a lot of uncles that were good examples, but they weren't my immediate example.
Yeah.
So I would watch how they would conduct themselves and how they would operate in business and how they were motivated to get up and go get a job. First, get a skill. Find out what's your passion. I'll share. This is something, it just came to my mind that I think about to this day.
Okay.
When I was a young boy, one day my father did come to my house. I was like 16, 15, and I was getting ready to graduate high school. And I had a Volkswagen. A good friend of mine, actually the guy that I named you after, Dietrich.
Ah, yes.
He and I were really good friends all the way through elementary, all the way through high school. And so in high school, he had bought a Volkswagen. And I thought that was really cool. And what was even more cool is he learned how to work on it himself. And so I took to that since I was a car guy too. And we would work on these Volkswagens. They were like 60s and the 50s years Volkswagens. So they're real simple to work on. And I remember I had a Volkswagen, and my dad, he didn't live with me, but he would come and see me from time to time. And he was a very smart guy. My mother and him just didn't get along, so I didn't get a lot of time with him. But I would take information that he would give me and I would apply it. And so this was a big piece of information that he gave me when I was just starting off. I was working on the Volkswagen, and I asked him, I said, hey, what should I do for an occupation? What skill, what trade should I learn? And he said, do what you love, do what you're passionate about. And if you can turn that into something that you can make money from, you'll never work a day in your life. I was passionate about cars and mechanics. So I found a road for myself to use that as a way for me to make a living. I chose to go to the Army as a mechanic. So the reason why I chose the Army, because I was like, okay, they're going to pay me to go to school. They're going to pay me to travel, and I'm going to live free. So it was like a no-brainer for me.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And I've always been that, like you said, you watch me how I'm always coming up. I'm not satisfied with just one destination. It's always, okay, let's turn the chapter and let's create a new story. All right, let's learn something else new. And I still believe that to this day. But that was something that drove me at the beginning of my life. My father telling me, do your passion. And when he saw me working on that car, I felt like that's what he was thinking. He was like, look, you're working on this car and you're passionate about it. You're doing it because you love it.
Yeah.
And so that, it was like a light bulb that came on in my head. It was like, okay, I get what he's saying. So I'm a take the path to learn mechanics, to be certified, and to have some type of paperwork, some type of certificates. So when I go to a company and they ask me, hey, what have you been doing to earn this position as a mechanic, or position as a parts guy, or position as a teacher to teach automotive to people, I can show them. So that's why I chose the Army. And then after that, I got with Lexus. So it's just, life is a progression like that. And something I'd like to share with young men is find a trade That is so important. And trades are easy. You don't have to go to university. That's a waste of your money. You're going to go to university for 4-6 years, then you're going to be 100,000, 150,000 in debt. It doesn't make any sense. Go to a trade school. A good trade is electrical, where you can do electrics in apartment buildings, homes, things like that. It takes 2 years to go through the school. And while you're in the school, go work for a company for free. So that way, once you get out of the school in 2 years, you'll got experience now because you've been working for this company for free while you've been going to school. And that's the type of motivation that I have, and that's the motivation that I was instilled with. And that's the motivation I want to give to you, young men. Anything that you're interested in, whether it be working on computers, take a trade school approach about it. There's a lot of trade schools that are teaching it. You can get your certificate in 2 years, sometimes 1 year, and you're not paying university prices, and you still have enough skill to get out there in the workplace and be successful without already having a bunch of debt like a university student would. And I'm not putting down university, because university is good if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a dentist, if you want to be a lawyer. Those are school degrees that you most likely will have to go to university, although there are schools out there that you can get some law and some medical experience without having to go to university. But find a trade. That's what's most important. And then from that trade, you can build. Even me as a 51-year-old, I'm in law enforcement now, but I was a mechanic before. And I'm even interested in doing something else after this career is over. I'm thinking electronics. For not electronics, I apologize. Electronics would be more computer, but electrician. That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
That's something that's interested to me. Air conditioning and things in that nature. Those are good fields to get into. Something that has a lot of longevity. A trade like mechanics. I'm grateful I know that, because I can always fall back on that and use that. Just doing oil changes, brake pads, coolant, transmission, things in that nature. But that's how I'll become who I am, is by learning trades. Don't focus on one trade. Hey, be a jack of all trades. Learn something of everything. Plumbing, electrician, mechanics, woodwork, sewing, typing. Men should know how to type. These are all type of things that, make you a 360-degree man. And that's my goal in life, to be a 360-degree man, to have knowledge in every aspect of life. And one thing I'd like to leave with you too is back to you attracting who you are. My mother used to tell me something that sticks with me to this day. Show me who your friends are, and I'll tell you who you are. And that's why I hang around the most quality people. I invest in quality people because I know I'm quality.
Bars. That was a really good one. Yeah. Your mom was spitting bars. Grandma was spitting bars.
Yep.
Show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are.
Exactly.
Man, that is whoo. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get into today's last topic before we move on to the next segment. We're gonna be talking about pretty much just men and marriage, pretty much. There's a statistic that floats around. It's a very true statistic that 80% of marriages and divorces and things like that are initiated by women. And since you have been married, you've been in that position, you've had kids, and you've had the stresses of always like finding a place to live, being the breadwinner, you know what I mean? Doing these things within a marriage, not only worrying about yourself, but your wife and 2 kids at that. A lot of men, I feel, get into a marriage with a woman and, it's great in the beginning, and then it falls apart. There's a wonderful study that some students did at MIT where they deduced by taking 8 couples, and they say the honeymoon period is only 2 years long. After 2 years, most couples and most married couples will actually either get a divorce or break up within that time. They took people from all walks of life, all, makes and models and colors, races, beliefs, all these kind of things. And they put them to the test, pretty much ask them, hey, let us in on your day to day, what you guys do, how you guys interact with each other and things like that. And, they all kept it in a journal and then get back to us 2 years from now. A lot of these couples were 6 months, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, so on and so forth. When the journals came back, they realized over 76% of those couples were broken up after the 2 years. Yep. And so with obviously that being a heavy stat, women leaving 80% of the time, as a man who was married and in that position and is married now, what advice could you give men or even married men to be a better husband, to be a better father, to be someone who is reliable not only to his woman but to his kids, how to be a breadwinner, how to take care of the household and, hold that frame in a marriage? What would be your advice to those people?
Wow, that's a huge question.
It is.
It's a huge question. And from my experience, a lot of marriages start with physical. You're physically attracted to the person, so you want to sleep with her, or she wants to sleep with him. And material. A lot of relationships are material starting from the beginning. Oh, he has a nice car. Oh, he wears nice clothes. She wears nice clothes. She can afford the best of this and that. Now, from my years of being married and where I'm at now, if you look at a relationship from a spiritual perspective, because I'm of the mindset now, I won't chase women. I allow a woman to choose me. And then that's how that's the lady for you, the one you're supposed to love. You want to respect her and you want to get to know her. Because nowadays, a lot of things, and it's kind of been this way, but I think it's more so now that it's about material things and beauty. And to me, beauty is within. Okay. I'd rather have an average woman with a beautiful soul than to have a beautiful woman with a raggedy soul, because the prettiest people do the ugliest things. So that's my first approach to a relationship nowadays. Make sure that you're in love with their soul, because beauty, that can be changed. You can go under the knife and change all of that. You can put some tits and some booty and all that, but a soul, you can't transplant a soul. So make sure you're choosing women for their souls, and women, make sure you're choosing men for their souls. That's the first key from my experience, because nowadays when I look at a lady, I look at her soul. I may be attracted to her outward beauty, but with my experience and my wisdom, I know that that's just a tiny, tiny portion of her and I getting to know each other and being intertwined as one. I want to make sure that her ambitions for life are positive for herself and for the people around her. For me, I want to make sure her intentions are good. She's supportive of me. I'm supportive of her. You don't want to just go off of, oh man, she's beautiful, and then she's not supportive of you, because there's going to be times when she's ugly and you're ugly. But are you guys supporting each other? Do you guys have each other's best interest at heart? So that's the one thing that I would like to convey to people nowadays when it comes to looking for a partner to make it something that may last, is to make sure that their soul is good. Because there's a lot of people running around, like you said, they're looking up to these rappers, and that's all done by design. The record labels own the prisons. So the record labels are getting these young men to create environments and visuals that you see on TV to guide you to prison. So that's something I would really like to let young men know. These young rappers, that's all being done by design. These chains, that's nothing. I'd rather see you go buy a couple pieces of property than to have $150,000 around your neck. With that property, you can build storage units. You could do foster foster care. You could build apartments. Now that's building generational wealth, and that is what's going to attract a real woman. A real woman is going to see a man doing things out in society and creating opportunities for other people.
Yeah.
That is what's being masculine to me.
Yeah. And you would say, as you are, because you made the point of you let women, choose you.
Right.
So as you're in the process of letting a woman choose you, you are doing these things, to make yourself better. Okay. Yeah.
And a woman sees you about your business.
Yeah.
And trust me, a woman will choose you. And normally, if you're doing quality things, that's what you're going to attract. You're going to attract quality women. And I cannot say that enough, because that has been the story of my life. Once I learned to stop chasing women, don't ever chase a woman. Women will chase success. And you have to understand that women will chase success. So if a woman sees a successful man, and especially if he's not giving her any attention, that right there is enough alone to make her interested in him, because she's going to think, wow, why is this man able to conduct himself and be happy and be content and not even pay any attention to me? I want to see what this man is about.
Yeah.
The man that's chasing her.
Yeah.
Well, she's already got what she wanted, because that's why she gets up and get dressed and become beautiful anyway, is to attract men and attract opportunities. So the man that's not paying any attention to her, the man that's about his business, but he's still respectful and he's cordial when he comes into her presence. Hey, good afternoon, good morning, but leave it at that and continue on. Trust me, that's what attracts a good lady, a good woman, because she sees a man conducting himself, being content, being strong, being have a lot of self-respect about himself. Oh man, you have them every time right there. That's how I do it, I've been successful at it, and I know I attract who I am. I attract mentally healthy women that are not trying to be on Instagram showing their personal body, although that's nice to look at. But ladies, you have to realize, a man that has integrity, he can't take that home to his mom. He can't take that to see his dad when his parents can look on there and see you dang near butt naked. I'm not here to disrespect ladies that do that, but you have to know that if you are conducting yourself in that fashion, yes, we want to see it, but that's not the lady we're going to marry, we're going to invest in. That's not the lady we're going to take home to our family. We are going to be more attracted to the young lady who has respect for herself. She knows her limits as far as showing herself to people. That's the lady that we're going to take home to our parents. And that, as a father, that's the young lady that my sons have always brought home to me. They've always brought home respectful young ladies, and that's the way I've conducted myself to them. They've never seen me bring home a lady that would be disrespectful or would not enhance me as a man and me enhance her as a lady. But that's a very broad question. There's so many things that I could really touch. But life has to do with integrity, self-respect, and respect for your fellow human being.
In your expert opinion, through the life experiences that you have, what could men do to be better husbands in a marriage?
First, find out why your wife is saying what she's saying. Take the time to step out of your selfishness. This is what I had to do, because with your mother, I didn't know that. I had to learn that through our experience. I didn't stop and take the time to understand why she was saying what she was saying or doing maybe what she was doing. And I think a woman gains more respect from a man that has that ability to stop and say, okay, well, why are you upset with me? Or, how can we accomplish this together? And show some type of compassion and leadership at the same time. That is what will create a bond between you two. And never be quick to be angry. Never show negative emotions to your wife, your girlfriend. Always have compassion. And when she's wrong, let her know with kindness. Say, hey, I didn't appreciate the way you conducted this. how do you feel about it? Do you feel that that was the right way to go about it? And get her opinion. And then most people, when you approach situations like that, they don't become defensive.
Yeah.
When you are able to, and that's being stoic. That's being understanding and trying to come to a solution together.
Yeah.
And that's what builds the unity in a relationship between a man and a woman. And that's when a woman says he's a leader. That's what she means, is a man that's able to sit her down and discuss the hard situations and not yell at her, not make it her fault. And you're actually teaching her at the same time, because she'll see you conducting yourself like that and she'll be like, wow, that's strength right there. He sat me down and he wanted to understand why I was upset at him. Or he wanted to express the way I made him feel when I came at him like that, so that she has the opportunity to make better decisions in the future. And you have the opportunity to make better decisions in the future. So that's where I went wrong in my marriage to your mom. And thank God that I had the humbleness within me to change that. Because I didn't want to see you or your brother hurt anymore. I didn't want to see your mom hurt anymore. It gave me a broader compassion for my fellow human being. I go back to that. That's a part of me learning that too. That's being strong to me, to be able to set back of my feelings. If somebody makes me feel a certain way, I don't just react. I step back and I try to understand, okay, well, why? And then that's where the bonding comes in, because the other person goes, whoa, he could have lashed at me, but he didn't. He used this as an opportunity for us to better understand each other. So that's one brick on our wall of building with each other. And over years and situations and disagreements, you add a brick every time. And before you know it, you have a bridge and you both can walk over that lake together. So that's how I visualize that. So, and in a marriage and in a relationship, that's what's important. That, to me, that's leading as a man. And that's even with your kids, to be able to sit down and, well, why are you feeling this way? Help me better understand, so then I can help you through the situation. So, and that's how I work in my relationship now. My girlfriend has told me, I've never seen you upset. And that's important to me, because she doesn't need to see me upset.
Because she looks to you.
Exactly.
When things are going wrong, she looks to her man. And I've said this multiple times on the podcast in multiple episodes, that you men need to be leaders.
Exactly.
You have to understand that I don't care who your girl is. I don't care if she's a bad bitch, if she's this, she's that, whatever. She's always going to look to the man for guidance in the tough times of the relationship. And there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of women see something wrong with that, and they're like, I don't need a man. I don't need this. I don't need that. I can do it myself. I have my own money. I have my own this and that. And it's like, that's fine. But when you're in a relationship dynamic and you're able to, that tells me that your man is not a leader, that you're the leader in the relationship. You know what I mean? That's exactly what that tells me. And that means that your man is not adequate enough for you. And you need to find a man who is adequate enough.
You have the wrong partner. And you touching on women saying that they don't need a man, and that makes me very sad, because I come from a time where the balance of a man and a woman was taught to me. And I think that's why I was able to change myself, because I still remember those old school values. There is a certain place for a woman that we all need a woman. The woman is the nurturer. She can be the educator. She's the tender part of life. And men, we are the builders, and we are the strength. We are the protector. And so we do need each other. Women, you do need a man, and men we need women. But I just it goes back to I was telling you, sex is being pushed on people so early that they're feeling these type of ways, instead of it being organic, to where we know our place in the relationships, and we know how to nurture each other as men, as women.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and so that is what's missing right now. You know, we need each other, men and women.
Yeah.
You know, and that should never be something even said by a woman or a man.
Yeah.
You know, we need each other for life, and we need to get back to working together. And that's so important right now.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to go their separate ways, but if we worked together, it would be even more beautiful.
Yeah. In your opinion, the term feminism gets thrown around a lot. Do you think it is feminism, or do you think it is an outside component that is making women like that?
I think there's an agenda.
Okay.
You know, to have women feeling less than and feeling unworthy, so therefore that's where feminism comes in, because they feel like they're not equal, and they feel like they're not getting the same opportunities. There's an agenda for that. I wish it wasn't, but there's an agenda for a lot of things right now. Even the demasculating of men, pushing the gay agenda on youth. There's agenda. So as far as the feminism, there's an agenda to have women feeling unworthy. So they're constantly fighting instead of realizing their natural beauty. And that's where I come back to the soul. You know, people's soul being in the right place. Make sure your soul is in the right place, and everything else will fall into place. You know, through my 51 years, and I've been talking to a lot of people that are my colleagues and my friends, the key to success is to treat people well. If you just started with that and have the best intentions in your heart, everything else will fall into place. I guarantee you. I'm a living witness of it. I was a hard, angry man as a young man, and then I learned that that's not the way. There's a balance that you have to have. You can't be walking through life angry and thinking you can solve it all by yourself. You can't. You need to build bridges with people. You have to have the best intentions. And you're going to run across some assholes. I run across assholes all the time, but I don't give them my energy, and I don't give them my time. Don't do it. It's you have better things to accomplish in life with your energy and your time, because that's what we are. We are energy, and we have very little time. We're not here for long. At the most, humans are here 70 years, you know, and some people don't even figure it out before then.
I know.
I'm grateful I figured it out, you know, so I can enjoy the second ladder of my life. So feminism, back to that question, I feel that there's an agenda, you know, and young women are so naive right now with the visualizations that they're seeing of, you know, showing their body, and you know, you got the Cardi B's out there, and I don't mean to disrespect Cardi B, but as a father, you know, I wouldn't want to see my daughter that way.
That's what I was just about to say. You wouldn't want to see your child doing something. And look, I don't ask that question, ladies, for us to bash on feminism as men. Okay, I want to create an understanding of feminism with men and women, because I feel like men look at feminism and they immediately attack it as if it's something bad, and in a way it is, and in a way it isn't. They always say, you know, evil is only what it is perceived in the eye to that person, because you have to understand, like the Taliban, they're bad to us, but in their mind, they're just defending their homeland. You know what I mean? We're the evil ones to them, you know? And that's what I mean when I say that, like, evil is only depicted in the eye of the person who perceives it. And so I don't want to look at feminism and just instantly bash it and be like, oh, women who believe it are bad and they don't have a soul and they do, you know, sex is the easy way out and things like that. I want to create an understanding of it. Like, women, why are you feeling this way? Why is it that you turn to feminism? Why do you feel you don't need a man? You know, and obviously I love that you broke it down to look for certain things, not just the outward appearance or what is being sold to you.
Exactly.
You know, don't be a consumer, be a creator.
Yes.
You know, and like what you were saying about don't have $150,000 on your chest, put $150,000 into a piece of land and things like that. You know, because men from the beginning of the dawn of time have always created things.
Exactly.
You know, but I feel like now men are more consumers than creators than ever before.
Yep.
And it's so sad because it's like, why are we doing that? You know, modern conveniences were all created by men.
Exactly.
You know, and these men made these modern conveniences and creations because they knew that to be a man, you have to impact the world by creating something, putting something into the world to help not only you, the individual, but others in their day-to-day life as well. And, you know, that I wanted to bring you on because another point you made as far as getting a trade, I didn't listen to that. I wish to this day that I got a trade, and I mean I still can, but
you're very young.
Yeah, and but, you know, obviously I have other passions and other things such as this podcast and doing music and stuff, and so that's kind of where my life is taking me. But in the beginning stages of my life, I do wish I did heed that, because I made the same mistake that you made with your dad when he told you to be a longshoreman, and you said, no. Get out of here with that. Yep. You know what I mean? And then you later regretted that my age. Exactly. You know, and I think about that all the time, and I'm like, wow, I let history repeat itself, you know, and that's something I don't want people out there, you know, listening to this podcast, young men and even young women, to learn that, like, hey, your environment does not define who you are and your ability to make a change in the world or even for yourself.
That's right.
You know, because like I said, you came from Long Beach, the hood.
Yep.
You know what I mean? With Snoop Dogg and all those other guys.
Yep.
You know, and you weren't a gangster.
Nope.
You hung out with the white kids. You were a surfer. You went to the military, got a trade, and you know what I mean? You lead this successful life with all these successful people, with doctors and ATF agents and, you know, CIA members, and, you know, you're friends with these people. Right. And a lot of people feel like, oh, I can't do it. And you're like, well, why can't you do it? Oh, because of where I grow up. I'm in the hood. Nope. I can't do it. And it's like, but you can.
And that should even be more motivation for you to step out of your four-corner block and see what else is out there for you, see what other opportunities. And I would like to say this, when you were mentioning my father offering me to be a longshoreman, you know, at first I looked at that as, wow, you know, I could have been making, you know, over $100,000 a year at a very young age. But now that I'm where I'm at in life, I knew that wasn't what was meant for me.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll reflect back on that and I'll go, wow, I wouldn't have spent as much time with you guys as I did.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have maybe lived in the better areas, you know, because we wanted to be closer to the job. But since I was able to move you guys out of the inner city and live in the suburbs, you know, it gave you guys more of a peaceful childhood and allowed you guys to not be exposed to some of the things that I was exposed to by living in the inner city. You know, you were living out in the suburbs, so you didn't have that exposure. You could go out and play in your front yard. You can go in your backyard. And that's what was important to me as a father. I wanted you guys to grow up in a house where you had a garage, you know, you could work on your bike, you could just experience life the way it should be experienced for everyone. I wish everyone could live life like that. And then we would be a better society because we would have peace in our life. We would be able to grow and learn. So back to you making mistakes, I don't necessarily look at it as mistakes, because if it wasn't for those decisions that you made in those times, you wouldn't be the man you are now.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of the man that you are now, because you're a lot like me. If you believe it, you know you can achieve it. And that's how I think. And I see that in you. You know, you come with an idea and you pursue it. And that's the least that anyone can do, and they'll be successful. If you just one day at a time do something to get you closer to whatever goal you're trying to reach, you will eventually get there.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that you articulated on a point. I was going to kind of sum it up into one sentence. You didn't dwell on the regret of the decision you made, but obviously, you took it farther, which I'm glad you did. Because that is how I feel about the decision of when you told me to get a trade and I didn't. I don't dwell on the decision. And I feel like that's what a lot of people do. They are paralysis by analysis, and they dwell in that and they let it be a crutch in their life. Oh, this is why I'm working a dead end job because I made that mistake. This is why I'm not where I want to be in life because I made that mistake. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And you didn't let that one choice, paralyze you into being successful now.
Right.
You know what I mean? It allowed you to be successful to, do all the things that you did, going to the military, getting a master's degree, learning the trade, going into the car industry, and then transferring that over into security and then into law enforcement. You know what I mean? It allowed you to do so many things. And I mean, even all the other things you did on the side, cutting hair, doing tattoos, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that goes back to me saying, if you believe it, you can achieve it.
Exactly.
And that is the key to success.
Yeah.
I share that with anyone. If you believe in something, you can achieve it.
Yeah,
you just have to work towards it one day at a time, and never be afraid to seek knowledge and reach out to people who are already there. Because normally when you reach out to people and make yourself available for them to teach you, they'll be more than happy to teach you. Because that allows them to spread the message and create their own students and share the knowledge with them, so they'll feel good by helping you. So that is the key, man. If you believe it, you can achieve it. And that's how I feel. I feel like anything I believe in, I can achieve it. And anyone can do that. Anyone.
Yeah, and I like I said, I see on the internet a lot of times that people love to relish in the negative, and I love your outlook on it, because you'll take a negative topic and try to say, okay, how can we see the light in this negative time? And that's why we talked about the things that we talked about just now as far as masculinity. A lot of people like to go ahead and just attack masculinity instead of teaching it and understanding it, and letting men know, hey, look, man, you don't need to be biggest, baddest wolf in the den. No, not at all. A lot of times you don't have to say anything, like you were saying. Let them wander, in their own mind. You say nothing,
and their strength.
Exactly. And you don't have to have the biggest muscles to fight the biggest opponent and things like that. I feel like a lot of people go to the brawn and not the brain. And you, with your experience, you couldn't do the brawn because you looked at it like, I'm a black man in America and I can be easily depicted as something worse than I actually am.
Exactly.
And so you took the brain approach. And I feel like a lot of young men, if they decide to learn how to be a stoic, how to be properly masculine, how to hold frame not only in conversations with other men but women as well, how to be a productive person in society.
Exactly.
Those types of things allow them to be a man that does not have to rely on the brawn. He can rely on his brain and be one of the most successful men in the world, make a change that only he can make in that world. And I feel so many men will just default to just fighting a guy or shooting him, you know what I mean? Instead of practicing stoicism, being a productive man in society and knowing how to deal with combative people. Instead of combating back, you decide to fall back and let them win that mental race. And you're like, cool, I'm on my way, because I'm on the road to success while you're going to sludge in mud.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
Because obviously the way they're thinking is clouding them so much that they're caught in this anger cloud. And it's not allowing them to think clearly. It's not allowing them to process what's going on in the world and what the
Exactly.
world really is and has to offer. They love to live in this la la land that,
I don't fight my way through anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's not going to be the case,
Exactly.
especially today.
Yes.
Because these prison systems need you. They have a bed for you, they have food for you, and they're waiting for you.
Yeah.
So if you want to go that route, trust me, they have accommodations for you because you're worth about $50,000 a year to them. And that's $50,000 a year you could be on the outside making and you spending it. So think of it in that way too.
Yeah.
These prisons are waiting for you.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see young men go to jail. That's why it was so important for me to be a good father, a good example, and you prove it to me every day by how you conduct yourself that I did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing, and I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, because like I said, you have so much knowledge, and I feel like I am able to give that in such a small capacity because of my age and experience, but you have that tenfold, probably even 20-fold, and you're able to articulate it in ways that maybe, even I couldn't articulate it. And so that was something I definitely wanted to get to that. But we're going to go ahead and change a little gears here. We're going to go ahead and get into a situation that that was sent to me on Patreon. Like I said, if you guys want to get on the Patreon, the link will be there, the link tree. And if you're on Spotify, there will be a support the show. Click there, go on Patreon. It's $3 a month. You'll be able to send in your scenario just like this guy did here. And this one's actually going to be a good one. The title of it is, I Know My Son Isn't Mine and Haven't Told Anyone. All right, so we're going to get our guest's opinion on this with someone being a father, someone who has, raised two sons and have gone through trials and tribulations in their life. So I, 30 male, have been dating this girl, 27 female, for 3 years. We're raising a 2-year-old son. I was her first serious relationship in a while. Before me, she was just casually seeing people. She told me that she was pregnant very early on into our relationship, which I thought was odd, but she insisted it was mine. My son looks nothing like me. I have brown hair and green eyes. He has blonde hair and blue eyes. Although blonde hair and blue eyes does run on both mine and my girlfriend's side of our families, so I figured it was just genetics doing its thing. However, I still had... Oh, sorry. However, I still had a bit of doubt. So I got a paternity test without telling anyone, not even my girlfriend. And it came back that I am not my son's biological dad. I was devastated, but I decided that I am not going to say anything to anyone because realistically, it doesn't change much. I'm still his father. I've been there since before he was born up until now, but I don't even know if my girlfriend deliberately tricked me. Maybe she genuinely thinks he's mine. She may not even know who the biological father is, so I feel like bringing it up would just cause problems. So what is your thought on that?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Wow, I know.
That's tough.
When he sent it in, I was like, my brother, I got the man for you because, wow.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Now, I like that he says he doesn't know if she did that on purpose or not.
Yeah.
But that is something that only he and she will be able to deal with going forward.
Yeah.
The young man has a lot of integrity that he's willing to hang in there and raise that child because he knows that he and the child has bonded already. And all men, I think, want a son. So, he was excited to have a son. So my hat is very tipped off to that young man. It's a very tough situation. I mean, if he really loves her and he knows that she loves him and they're going to build something, then I would say, keep pushing forward and be the example to that little boy. Because there may be a day that comes up where the little boy may want to know. He may find out, that you're not his father. And so then you have to be prepared for that,
Yeah.
To bring that information and this other person that may be the father, if that person is even around to find, you have to be willing to go on that journey with that little boy.
Yeah.
So that's something to take into account this early on in the stage. If that comes up later on in life, are you willing to take that journey to find his true father and help him bond with his father, if that's what he wants to do? Because he may not even want to. Yeah. But I think you should be prepared to do that. That should be a big consideration in going forward and raising this child. Yeah, my hat goes off to that young man. That's a tough thing. And you bringing this is a good topic, because they're just putting into law now in a few states. I'm not for sure. I want to say it's Texas, but I'm not for sure. But it's a mandatory that you get a DNA test now.
Yes, because that is in 7 states now. Yeah, yes, Texas, lot. North Carolina, South Carolina. I believe it is. It might be Michigan or Illinois, one of the two. And then there's a couple other states. But yeah, I have heard that law. There are 7 states that have that in effect as of now.
Right. Yeah. Especially with the promiscuity.
Promiscuity. Yeah, promiscuity.
Right now. I mean, it's really rampant. So, that's important, because if you sign your name, and I've seen this, a guy signs his name on the birth certificate and then finds out later that that's not his child. Well, now you're legally obligated because you signed your name on that birth certificate. Yeah. And so to prevent that, man, it's very important to find out in the beginning. But just for this situation and this young man, my hat goes off to you, but be prepared if you're going to go through this journey with this young boy.
What advice would you give to him as far as letting the girlfriend know that he had the paternity test done? Should he even let her know?
I mean, yeah, that's a tough one, because that's where you're in the situation that did she do it on purpose because she knew that you would be there for her, so she said that it was yours? Because the guy that she may have had the baby with, she knew that he probably wouldn't have stepped up to the plate and been a good father, been a good role model. So now you're going to have to deal with that. So my advice is, are you willing to deal with that if that is the truth, that she did that on purpose? Some women will take that to the grave with them. She may lie and say, hey, I didn't know. So you'll never know. Yeah. So it's hard to give you, myself, I wouldn't even say anything. If you're asking my opinion like that, I wouldn't say anything because I wouldn't want to set myself up for hurt and for despair. But it may be a good time to ask and find out, because it's such an early stage in the situation that you can get out of it versus finding out when the boy is 12, 13, 14. Yeah. So it's a very, very sensitive position to be in,
but because so many men are in this position, and that's why
that's tough.
When this got sent in, I was like, yes, because obviously you've never gone through this, thank God. And even with the amount of knowledge you have, it's still really delicate of a situation.
Because it's early enough. I mean, he didn't say how old the baby was, but I'm thinking,
he was 2.
Okay, the baby's 2. Yeah. So, see, it's early enough now where if you found out she did that to you on purpose, where you could go ahead and move your, go on your own way. You haven't really damaged the child. You haven't put a lot of energy and effort and time, money into that situation. But are you prepared for the journey later on in life? For that information to come up, you have to explain that to that child. The child may be interested in finding the father. Are you willing to go through those steps? So right now is a good time to figure those things out. That's what I feel. But in the future, fellas, get a paternity test. Before you sign that birth certificate, before you become legally responsible. If you don't feel 100%, fortunately your mom You know, I trusted her. She was a good lady. And then you and your brother look just like me. So
yeah, couldn't deny that
we can't deny that. So,
but at the same time, I want to segue this question into promiscuity because I wanted to know how you view promiscuity from when you were dating, you know, say as a young man, 21, 22, to how promiscuity is now for young men who are 21, 22, you know, because obviously those are probably the couple ages where women have their most, you know, they're their most beautiful. They are, you know, their most sexual at that time.
Right.
So, you know, what would be like your advice to men dealing with promiscuous women?
Yeah. And that's why I go back to when I was saying sex selling everything.
Yeah.
And so that has everybody sexually intensified, you know, because every time you turn around, it's in our music, it's in the commercials. I mean, it's in your everyday life. So it's so hard. I can understand it being hard for young women and young men nowadays to not be promiscuous. I mean, I even battle with seeing sexuality in my day-to-day life just at work, being in the public. I think the difference is through my life experience, I have a lot more self-control now.
Yeah.
You know, and I wouldn't expect a 25, 24, 23-year-old to have the same self-control that I have.
Yeah.
You know, and that's pretty much what it comes down to, having self-control.
Yeah, because a lot of women expect that out of a man who is 21 to 25 years old. Because, you know, we all know that men enjoy variety when it comes to women, and women enjoy monogamy, you know, and men, obviously, we will show sexual temperance to a degree. You know, there's a saying going around, men are only as loyal as their options, you know.
That's true.
It is, but
hey, that's true.
It is. And, you know, I'm not trying to knock the fellas that, you know, exercise their options and things like that, but I do understand it from the woman's perspective as well. It's like, if you're going to tell this woman that I'm only going to see you, why would you exercise options? But I understand biologically this is what you are hardwired to do as a man, you know, and that's why, you know, with your ability to have such a high sexual temperance because of your experience in relationships and with women, you know, you would be able to give a better synopsis on the situation for younger men to have sexual temperance, to be able to, you know, say, no, let me not, because I have this going on, and all of the it's like Vegas, you know what I mean, at night, where there's just so much coming at you all at once, and that's how it is. Instagram is constantly promoting it. I mean, all you have to do is say you're a male, and Instagram will push those girls to you. You know what I mean?
I see it all the time on my phone.
And I'm sure you don't follow any of them, but it's still pushed to you just simply for being a man. You know, and so promiscuity is just it's a struggle bus for us men out there. It is. You know?
It is. But something I would like to share with people is, I had a good friend. Her name was Dr. Richardson, and she shared something with me that stuck with me. She said, you have to be careful who you're sleeping with, because your energy is intertwined when you have sex. And she was so right about that, because you can lay down with someone because you see them and you feel that they're physically attractive, but you don't know what their chemistry is inside of them. And you bring their chemistry onto you when you sleep with them. And she told me this when I was 35 and I was very promiscuous. And I really paid attention to it, and I'm glad I did, because there was a lot of women that I stayed away from just because I did see that if I slept with them, I would be bringing their energy on. And you'll know someone that was like that. You remember the young lady that lived down the street from us? Her name was CJ.
Oh,
and
yes.
And remember, this
Yes.
lady used to chase me down.
Yes.
Come knocking on the door.
Yeah.
And man, she was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That body was sexy. But
she was a butterface. I'm bad for that one.
But I did not lay down with her.
Yes.
Because I knew her energy wasn't something that I wanted to bring into my life.
Yeah.
And that's something that I would like to share with younger men and younger women with the promiscuity. You have to be so careful who you're laying down with, because once you do that, you combine your energy. And if their energy is not good, you're bringing that into your life. So that was a big part of me taming my promiscuity and being very selective of the ladies and making sure that my intentions were good, so that I was attracting that same energy. So when I did lay down with that lady, she wasn't jeopardizing me and I wasn't jeopardizing her spiritually. Because when you lay down with someone, you guys take on each other's spiritual beings. So that's something I'd like to share with younger people as far as the promiscuity. Be careful, because you're taking that energy into your life. And do you really want it? Because most times you don't.
You may think you do, but you don't.
Yeah.
And so, to sum it up, you're probably saying just be a little more, how would I say?
Selective.
There you go. Selective of who you decide to be promiscuous with. Like he's not bashing promiscuity. He's just saying be selective of those that you be promiscuous with.
Because you bring their energy and their spiritual demons or angels, because some people are bringing angels into your life. That's what you want. Beautiful angels that are helping you spiritually, and that person, you are combining positive energy, but you don't want negative energy with your positive energy, or your positive energy out there hurting other people's or your negative energy out there hurting other people's positive energy. But that's what I would suggest you look at, because a lot of people are bringing in that into their life, and they're wondering why certain things are happening the way they're happening.
I do have a questioning, and it is pertaining to this situation. What do you feel are the things, or say the checklist, men should have in place before they decide to take a woman seriously, and I mean serious in marriage or having a child with them? What do you think men should have in check before they decide, I want to get married, or I want to have a child with this woman? What are the things men should have in check?
I think they should have in check for themselves and for the person, the young lady that they're going to get with, is make sure that she's mentally, spiritually, and physically healthy. Those are the three things that are most important. Someone is mentally healthy, that they're not dealing with a lot of depression, that they're not dealing with anxiety, that they're not dealing with addictions. That's the mental. That could be, some of that could be physical too. Mentally healthy, that they're happy with who they are. They have peace, because peace is the one thing you can't buy, borrow, beg, or steal. Either you have it or you don't. So mentally healthy, physically healthy, that they're eating properly, that they're taking care of themselves, getting good sleep. They have good hygiene, that they care, that they're healthy, and that they're aware of their physical and their mental and their spiritual well-being, and that they worry about the people around them are healthy as well. And then spiritually, that's just having your soul intact. That when you're out there in society and you're dealing with people cutting you off on the road, you're not flipping them off. You're not, your spirit is like, okay, hey, you know what? Let me let that person go. Let me not entertain that. And that's somebody's child, that's somebody's father, that they may have got into an argument before. So your spirit is intact. You're not just out there reacting in life and in decision making. You're not just jumping into things. So those are the three things that I would like young men to make sure that the person that they're getting ready to invest their future in has together mentally, physically, and spiritually healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that should be for yourself too.
Yeah.
Take time to make sure that you are mentally healthy, physically healthy, and spiritually healthy, so that you can provide the best for anyone else that you're bringing into your life. That's my opinion.
What would you also say as far as like monetarily, or as women say, what you bring to the table?
Now, see, it depends on what's important to you in life. Now, see, for me, a big house is not important. To live beneath our means is what's important to me, to be able to go and enjoy life. So I live a very a minimalist lifestyle. I don't have to have a lot of different clothes. I don't have to have a lot of different pairs of shoes. I think I have 4 pair of tennis shoes. I have some dress shoes. I have some nice casual shoes. It just depends on what type of lifestyle you're trying to live, and then the young lady in your life, what type of lifestyle she's expecting of you to live. Since I live a very simple life, I was fortunate to meet a lady. She's very simple.
Okay.
So we work together like that because we're not extravagant. We don't have to have the most expensive cars. We don't have to have high fashion. We enjoy just each other. We enjoy being able to have money in the bank to go do something. And what I've seen a lot, looking on Instagram and things of that nature, people want to live in $1 million home. Well, to me, that's not success, because if I'm working hard to pay a bill, then to me, that's not living. I'd rather have more time and freedom than money. So it just depends on what's important to you. And like I said, for me, having more time is important to me than having a lot of money. Because I like to go hiking, I like to skateboard, I like to play with my Hot Wheels, I like to come see you. So I'm not overworking myself, because time is more important to me. Time with my people, time with things that I like to do. So money,
relish in the smaller experiences instead of chasing the big ones all the time.
And me, I've already had all the cars. Growing up, we've driven the best cars. We've lived in the nicest neighborhoods. So.
And that's how, young guys still think. And that's why I do say, what should they have on the monetarial side? Because women do expect that out of a man to some degree. And I would say even more now than they did before.
Exactly. And I totally agree with you. And I think it's very unrealistic, especially in the economic situation that we're in these times. Not everybody's going to be making over $100,000. Rent is more expensive than the mortgage nowadays. So, and then the housing is overinflated. In my day, we were able to buy a home for under $200,000, if $200,000. Nowadays, you can't even buy a piece of junk house for $200,000 in the worst of neighborhoods. So it's a different time, and I think it's unrealistic, the expectations of young people right now. And the main thing you should focus on is living beneath your means. Don't worry about having the most expensive car, because you're trying to impress people that don't really like you anyway. By having the best car and having the best clothes. The people that you're trying to impress, those are usually the people that are jealous of you and don't like you. So why even try to impress them? I'd rather live beneath my means and have extra money at the end of the month than to be living to the extent of my means trying to make someone happy. So young men, if you meeting women that want to live beyond the means that you can afford right now, she's not for you. You want someone that's coming in and saying, hey, I'm grateful, I'm thankful, and let's build together. You both bring something to the table to help the total goal. And the total goal is for you to both be successful. So I wish young women and young men can look at it from that perspective. Hey, what do we bring to each other to where we can both be successful? Because it's easier for you to work together than it is for you to be out there working on your own. Relationships are a business deal. You get into a business deal with a young man or a young lady to succeed together, not to outdo one another, but to succeed together. And I think that's something that the generation before me had in mind. They were like, hey, yeah, he cheated a little bit, or yeah, she did this, but they knew the common goal was, we have a business here. We have a common goal together to support one another and to be there for one another. And I think that that's gone nowadays.
Yeah.
That thought process of, hey, this is a business. And take this for example. You and your girl are making $300,000 a year. You're successful. You're doing things. Well, she mess up or say something stupid, and are you going to throw the business away just because of that, or are you willing to say, hey, look, let's fix this and make our business stronger from this?
Exactly.
And I think that has gone away from this younger generation. They're quick to move on to somebody's got it better. And remember, the grass is not always greener on the other side. If you water and mow your own grass, it'll be just as green.
Yeah. And I was just about to ask you that. How do you feel about, people just kind of moving on, and they feel like the grass is greener on their side because they see somebody else with more, and it's easier to just do that instead of working on what's going on. Because I get a lot of scenarios where, women will find their man cheating on them and things like that. And to me, I look at it like, okay, from a biological standpoint, yes, he's going to cheat. He's going to look at other women. Things like that are going to happen. As long as he's not giving this other woman resources and time to that extent. If it was just kind of a sexual handshake style thing, and then he's like, fuck, I know I messed up, talk about it. You know what I mean? Try to come to some common ground, because that's not a relationship worth giving up. There was a woman on the show. She sent in a scenario where she got married very early on, and there was a man that reached out to her, and she was in her marriage for about 3 years. A man reached out to her in her marriage, and he was like, oh, like, I used to like you so much back in the day, this and that, and da-da-da. Now she was kind of thinking to herself, she was having FOMO, like the fear of missing out. Did I miss out? Did I get married too early? Do I not have enough sexual experience? This and that. And I pretty much told her on the show, like, you need to stop thinking about what other people have, and you need to focus on your relationship. And what you're going to do is you're going to be on Pinterest finding date ideas, finding outfit ideas, how to look, do your makeup better for your man, what things that you can do around the house to kind of help him, and things that he can do to help you as well. Focus on your relationship. And when you're so focused on your relationship, you don't have time to think about FOMO. You don't have time to think about what other people have and what other people's relationships are like, because you're so invested in your relationship. And then another caveat to it is, you have not slept with this man. So the moment he gets him some coochie, he could just leave. And then you left your marriage, so now you're just single. And
that's what most men want anyway, is just a little taste of the scratch, and they're gonna go back to their home and do their own thing. So,
and I try to just instill that. And even then, that young lady, she's 24 years old, and her husband is around my age. I think he was 27, and she just was like, oh, that's great advice, but I don't know if I'm going to take it. And and it's just like, that's okay. Do what you're going to do. I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make him drink. And that's just how I feel about relationships nowadays. It's like, don't give up on what is so good, what you already have that's so good. It's going to get bad. Relationships are never perfect. They're always going to have ups and downs. They're always going to have bad times, good times. You're going to do something that she don't like, and she's going to do something that he don't like. You guys talk, conversate, have those tough conversations.
And build off of that.
Exactly. Like you did the brick analogy. Every fight that you guys go through is just a brick that you're adding to the relationship, that you guys are building that connection together to be better partners. Because me and my significant other, I'm not always going to know what my significant other wants on a day-to-day basis, and my significant other is not going to know what I want on a day-to-day basis. Right. You know, we just, as human beings, don't really necessarily have the time nor the capacity nowadays to really have those conversations, because we're busy with work. You're busy with life. There's stresses, family, things like that. There are so many multifaceted things that go on in our day-to-day lives now. Having those conversations without there being a fight is a thing in the past. Exactly. I feel more relationships, back in the day, they were able to have those kind of conversations a little more regularly, just because their lives weren't so multifaceted the way ours are now. Right. With technology and social media and instant connection to everything. You got YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all this stuff to keep you mentally busy that right. You're not really thinking about your partner.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that's true.
And that's where that distraction of the talking about the core values of each other comes to play. It's like, we don't have time. That's what we say. We don't have time. But that's why I say it's a distraction, because you're mentally distracting yourself from communicating with your partner, right. Sitting them down and talking to them. Hey, babe, are you okay? How are you feeling? How has your day been? Things like that. And I'm a victim of it too. I'm not going to sit here and say that I am perfect. Don't get that, that kind of viewpoint that I'm trying to put on you guys. I'm not. I'm saying that when I realized this, it was too late for me. And I was like, wow, I was doing those things. Yeah. I was being so distracted with other things. Right. I didn't stop to be like, oh man, I need to build with my partner.
Right.
And
make sure that they're okay.
Exactly.
Mentally,
it's like,
physically, and spiritually.
Exactly. It's like saying, hey, you two build this wall together, and one person is off busy and another person is left to build the wall. How would you themselves. Yeah, how would you feel? You know what I mean? You would feel used, and you'd feel upset, and you'd feel mad, and you feel so many emotions because you're building this wall by yourself, and you're like, this was supposed to be for two people. It's supposed to be for us, you know? So yeah, I wanted to get into that topic because, men are going through this, and
it's a tough time. I see it myself too, and I feel for young men and women, because there's not a lot of this teaching being brought to them, and showing them that, hey, you're moving too fast in life. Slow down and enjoy it. Everybody's life is not going to be the same, and everything is not for everyone. So like you said, you got to stop and be grateful for what you have. Yes. And once you become grateful for what you have, trust me, more will be added on too. Yeah. Because you become worthy of having more for being grateful for what you have. Yeah. And that's what I've learned.
One more question before we hop into this video. How long should a couple be in a relationship before the man decides to get engaged to his woman? Because I lately, it seems like that timeline is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. I mean, there's a lot of dudes who are like, oh, they never do it, and they're in a relationship for 9 years. And then there are guys who wait 6 months and do it. Right. You know what I mean? And I'm not asking you the question to be like, is there a right answer? But is there an answer that makes sense to the point where it's like, okay, that's reasonable. It gives people something to think about, because I just feel like you said, it's so fast. People jump into things so fast. And it's like, I feel like marriage and engagement is something that people jump into the fastest.
Okay. So I've thought about this question.
Okay.
I don't think it's a time frame. I think it's a goal frame. Okay. And when I say a goal frame, is two people sitting down and writing down their expectations of what they want to accomplish in this relationship. Okay. And if those two ideas match, then I think it's a go. Okay, then we're going to get married. So if two people say, hey, look, I want to have 1 to 2 kids. I want to buy a home. I want to be settled down. I want to support you to go to school and get your trade. And then vice versa. Then you're on the same page. And you guys have the same goals in mind.
Okay.
I don't think it has to do with years,
Okay.
because time is going to go on regardless. I feel like it's a goal time period. It's like, okay, do our goals match within the same time period? Do we have the same perspective of life? Do we have the same morals? You know, I think that is what determines, should you get married, should you get engaged. And I don't think young people are doing that nowadays. I don't think they're sitting down and they're sharing each other's aspirations with one another to make sure that, you know, you are on the same path. Because, say for instance, you are into music, that takes you away from home a lot, you know, so you would have to be with a lady that is accepting of that. You know, and I think it's only fair to give her that option, and then her the same. She tell you, well, hey, I really don't want to date a musician. You know, I want somebody that's more come home every day. And, you know, so I think it's a goal oriented thing versus a time frame. I think young people, if you guys are deciding to go that route and you're going to get married, sit down and write down your dreams, goals, and aspirations together and see if they align.
Okay.
And if they don't, that's a perfect opportunity for you guys to say, okay, hey, look, this just wouldn't work. But it's in a more positive way.
Yeah.
It's not just a thing where it's like, okay, well, I see you doing something that I don't like, so I'm out. You're able to sit down and do it together. And I think what that does is that builds character within you.
Yes.
Because
yes.
you're showing the other person that you can respect them. And 9 times out of 10, if it was done that way, you guys can move on as friends if you don't decide to be together, because you did it in such a respectful way. You know, there was so much respect there by sitting down and saying, oh, wow, I didn't know that you were interested in, you know, doing a bunch of traveling. Okay, well, I think that's great, but I'm not interested in traveling. So, you know,
and mentally it's easy for you to move on from that relationship and be with somebody else.
There's no hurt involved.
Yeah, and it was explained like, oh, this is why we weren't together. Because a lot of times when people do split, they're hung up on the question of what went wrong. Why did it end? You know, and I feel like with that approach, it allows you to understand, okay, you know, she had different goals in life. I had different goals in life. In order for me to achieve my goals, I need to be with somebody that aligns a little more with my goals. Now, I'm going to tangent to that. It's a lot of men will sacrifice their goals to be with a woman. What do you think about that?
That's simp behavior.
It is.
That's simp behavior.
That is.
You know, I mean, you're young, so, you know, I've been there, done that, you know, so I understand it to a point. But I'm grateful that it didn't lead into a situation where a baby was created or, you know, we were put in a position where we had to be in each other's lives forever. Okay. So that's what you got to think about if you're going to go that route. If you're going to put your goals to the side, you know, to be with someone that you know is not going to be there for you in the long run, you have to be willing to put up with those consequences.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean,
because
to me, it's simp behavior.
Oh, most definitely. And but you see it more often than
today,
ever. Yeah,
I do.
And
I see it.
That's why, you know, for me, I know, you know, when you were saying that you know, you've been there, you've done that kind of thing, and that, you know, guys are going to do it. You know, I like to talk about it simply because you are able to be a preventative measure for these men. You know, you're able to be that preventative measure to say, hey, no. Focus on you and your goals first. And there is no relationship if your goals don't align with hers. Right. You know what I mean? Don't be together. Don't sacrifice what you got going on just because you want to be in a relationship with this woman so bad. Right. You know, you guys got to understand there's more women on this earth than there are men. Exactly. And you'll find another one. But I think there's so many guys that get caught up in I will never find her ever again. It's like, dude, take a step back and relax, you know what I mean? And kind of look at things a little more objectively. And you know, I always tell guys, like, they constantly ask, how do I get over a breakup? How do I get over a breakup? And it's just like hobbies. Get into things. Improve yourself.
Exactly. And that is the key. Focus on self. Mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Exactly.
Because when you have that together, it exudes you. When you walk into a room, people see and recognize a person that has themselves together mentally, physically, and spiritually. They want to be a part of that person's life.
Yeah.
So if you focus on that, everything else will be drawn to you.
Exactly.
And what's for you will be drawn to you.
Yeah.
Live an example of that.
Couldn't say it better myself. Yeah, because I see that a lot, and it's one of those things where it's like, for me, I've always been a goal ambitious person, and I never stopped doing those things to be with a woman. But I do see it so many times in my friends and guys that I talk to, whether it's at work or that I meet, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Why are you putting us out? Oh, because she wanted me to. So what? Fuck what she wants. You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't be with a woman that is holding you back from being successful, because I always tell women, because women, when I say that to them, they get super upset and they're just like, what do you mean? Fuck, would I care? No. Hold on, sweetie. Understand that if you don't hold back your man from being the most successful that he can be, as a byproduct, you are going to benefit off that success.
Exactly.
So why are you holding back his success and the byproduct of it, you being able to enjoy that success?
Right.
Because if a man goes from the bottom to the top, what is he doing? He's taking his woman with him.
That's right.
Because why? The biggest thing is, when a man goes from 0 to being on top, he wants that woman that was with him at the bottom, because he knows the bitches that talk to him while he's at the top don't care about him for him.
Exactly.
But she does.
Exactly.
But women forget that. They forget that, babe, you've been there from at the bottom. Now we at the top, and you get to benefit that. Why are you holding me back from allowing you to reap the benefits of my hard work? I mean,
and that's a good way to see and know if she is for you.
Yes.
If she holds you back, she's not for you.
Yes.
If she is supporting you and asking you, what can I do, babe, to help?
Exactly.
Then that's that's your life partner right there.
Yeah.
That's how I knew my current lady is my partner.
Yeah.
Whenever I was motivated to do something, I would bring it to her attention, and the first thing she said is, how can I help you, babe?
Yeah, because there's this community, if you will. I don't know if you've ever heard it, the red pill community. Okay. A lot of women garner hatred towards that community. And when I talk to a lot of women about it, I tell them, why are you against making men better for you?
Well, because they don't see it that way.
It's
a competition thing.
Yeah.
And that goes back to when you were talking about the feminist movement.
Yeah.
Instead of it being a competition thing, we have to figure out, as men and women, how to best help each other. We can't be on the same plateau. That's just not how it was created. It was created for men to do certain tasks, and it was created for women to do certain tasks. And when we learn to be in harmony doing those tasks, that's when the beauty of the situation comes into play, because we're learning to coexist together, and each of us have a strength that the other doesn't have. And so that is not being taught to young women anymore. A lot of young men are not being taught that. And so therefore you can have a space for a feminist movement when it should just be us contributing with our strengths. Women have a strength that men don't have, and men have a strength that women don't have.
Exactly.
And so we need to get back to that coexisting flow, and I wish I had the answer for that.
Oh, I know. And
I wish I had the answer for that.
Yeah, like I said, there is no answer, because this is just a formulative conversation to understand the genders. I'm not the type of person, like, this podcast for me was created for men and women to understand each other and why women think the things that they do and why men think the way they do. No one is wrong. You know what I mean? No one is right. So we're just simply trying to understand each other, but people love to do it on the gate of negativity instead of positive understanding in a conversation.
Having an open heart and an open mind to understand the other side.
Yeah.
And so that's what I think the core of it is. As men and women, we have to get back to a point where we're open and willing to understand each other without being offensive and being defensive.
Yes.
We have to be able to put that down and say, okay, let's use logic here.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
How can I better help you as a man? How can you better help me as a woman? And when we do that, everything works in harmony.
Yeah,
that's the goal that we're trying to create here is harmony.
Yeah. That's the goal there, and I think a lot of people are just missing that. And you know, there are still people out there, you know, who have that mindset that you and I have and stuff like that. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and change gears. We're going to get into this video. So I'm going to move you guys on over. We're going to watch this video here.
You know what? Before you start that, I'm thirsty.
Okay.
All this talking.
I know. All right, well, let's go ahead and swap back over here.
I think this is mine.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I did put that right there.
Okay. Yeah, it is a lot of talking. I do 3 episodes a day, so.
Oh my gosh.
It's a lot of talking.
Hey.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and get into this video. So bossing a cop around backfires dramatically. All right. And whenever you want to say something about the video, just go ahead and ask me to pause, and then you can articulate your point on anything. He has a good knowledge in stuff like this. It is a police officer dealing with someone on a traffic stop. And, you know, he deals with police officers all the time. So he has kind of a bit of an expertise on this. And hopefully you guys can just learn from this. If not, I mean, just laugh at the crazy video.
1075.
I'm Officer Scott, Coral Springs Police. Stop me for your speed. You're going 70 and a 40. Do you have your driver license and insurance card?
Give me a moment.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't know. I don't know this. I didn't know. I don't know. And,
You didn't know what?
Don't understand.
I'm showing you. Here's the radar unit. You were going 70 miles an hour. The speed limit on University is only 40.
You scanned me with that. I didn't know that.
I'm scaring you with that.
I said you scanned me with that.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't give consent for that.
You don't need to give consent for that.
Your name is?
I'm Officer Scott.
Okay.
I need your driver license and your insurance card, please.
Okay.
44. Go ahead and roll me a routine, please.
Give me a moment. Bravo 42. I'm just going to reach for my paperwork.
Okay, no weapons in the car or anything like that?
No weapons.
Okay. We actually pulled into the Petco parking lot here.
Yeah, I did. Please fill
What is this?
Petco parking lot.
No, I need your driver license and your insurance card.
I'm going to need you to fill this out.
No, I need your driver license and your insurance card.
I'm going to need you to fill this out.
Okay. I need your driver license and insurance card.
You said, okay, I need you to
42,
fill this out. I'll give you a pen.
Get in the wall.
10-454, I'll show you in route, Petco parking lot. I need your information.
I need your information. And I need your driver license and your insurance card. If you're failing to comply...
I don't want to make this difficult.
I don't either. I want to make this very easy, but you're making it very difficult. Because I've asked you several times now for your driver license and your insurance card, and you're failing to comply. When you get pulled over by the police...
You my license.
When you get pulled over by the police, you have an obligation to provide identification. You also have an obligation to provide proof of insurance.
45429 valid, registered to a Frank. Said me?
Yes.
Cesario.
44, if you could roll a supervisor.
While you waiting, you could, like, do that?
No, I'm going to wait for you.
I'm trying to be mutual.
Bravo 44.
No, you're not. I've asked you several times for your driver license. You don't want to give me your driver license.
That's not what I'm doing.
You want to argue and you want to do this sovereign citizen stuff, and this is not going to work out right now. This is not going to work out for you.
I'm not sovereign.
Okay.
I have a license.
I'm going to give you one more chance to provide your driver license before I pull you out of the car and detain you in handcuffs.
I'm not. You all you doing is under duress. You gotta give me time, and I'm asking.
None of this is under duress. I've asked you several times.
And I'm working with you.
There is no duress here. You haven't even attempted to locate a driver license.
I'm doing that. How are you lying?
You don't have a driver license in your phone, sir. I need a physical driver license from you. You're not. There is no such thing as an electronic version of a driver license.
That's a lie.
No, it's not a lie.
Cooperating with me. Okay. Give me a moment. You held me under arrest. I can turn off my car.
Yes, please turn your car off.
Give me a moment.
Turn your car off.
Give me a moment.
Turn your car.
Give me a moment. You're doing too much.
Stop.
You using aggressive
Stop.
words. I don't have anything in my pocket.
Relax.
You scare me. You scare
Relax.
me. I cannot
relax.
hold on me.
Relax.
I feel safe right here. Calm down. Hold on.
Come out of the car.
You're not allowed.
Come out of the car.
I'm not gonna oppose anything.
Come out of the car.
Everything you doing.
Come out of the car.
You being aggressive.
Face away from me.
Please.
Face away from me.
Allow me
Face
to
away
get my
from me.
stuff out the car.
Get on the floor.
Face away from me.
Is it because I'm wearing all
Face away
black?
from me.
Around right now.
Bravo 23, Canine 5.
Face away from me.
Canine 5.
Why y'all doing?
Give me your hand.
Oh my eye.
Put your hand behind your
Put your
back.
hand behind your back. Do it now.
Quiet.
Do it now, right now. You're under arrest.
No, I'm not. I'm a woke. I'm a woke. Stop.
Leave your hands behind your back.
Stop. I got work on my day. Could you allow me to get my stuff? Y'all wouldn't allow me. I don't have it in my pocket. I have a license. I have registration. I have
You're under arrest.
Don't allow me.
Let's watch this.
Now y'all going to court, man. Y'all using excessive force. I have my license, registration, and he won't allow me.
I got it.
I have it directly from Cherry Road. Y'all doing too much. And then you call me a sovereign. And then you can allow under oath. I just put these pants. So you won't allow me to get anything. I can't
Roll over on the other side.
But y'all use so much excessive force.
It's all on body cam. So everybody will be able to see just how much time I gave you to provide an ID when you refused over and over.
I didn't refuse. I asked you to fill out that paperwork. That's good.
Bring your knees up to your chest. Do it now.
What?
Roll over onto your knees.
You got me spazzing.
Sit up. Stand up. Stand up.
What part of stand up don't you understand?
You can put them in
I
my
don't
car.
understand. Exactly.
Sovereign?
I don't know. I pulled him over. I asked him for ID.
Saying that. I'm not sovereign.
He gives me this, tells me I need to fill this out. So I continue to ask him for his ID over and over and over.
Good.
I told him we're not going to play the sovereign citizen thing. He says I'm not a sovereign. He says he's looking for his ID in his phone. I told him 2 or 3 times there's no such thing as an electronic version of a driver license. He tells me I'm a liar. So I go to pull him out. He starts resisting.
Yeah, he's a sovereign.
Now I guess the question becomes, can I go in here to find a license or do I have to wait?
Let's just wait. Why even bother looking for a license?
Well, I got to ID him.
Rapid ID.
I have that.
You have Rapid ID?
Yeah.
Who's the car registered to?
I haven't even checked yet. I didn't have time.
I'll check for you.
All right.
2392.
Tell you guys don't understand.
Sir, I couldn't have made it any more clear that I needed your driver license.
You see, I'm scared. You're supposed to be sensitive. You're supposed to be helping me. Hey, what are you 44?
Yes.
You're doing this for money.
This has nothing
This
to do
is
with
for
money.
Cause no, the way you just disrespect me, I'm gonna have to. I know.
You do whatever you have to do. I told you we're not going to play this sovereign citizen
I didn't
thing.
say that.
You're trying to have me fill out sovereign citizen paperwork.
No, I'm not. That's the paperwork gets your information, so I know who you are.
I told you who I was.
That's
As
not
a matter of
enough.
fact, the very first thing I said to you was, I'm Officer Scott, Coral Springs Police.
I just asked you to fill out that information.
Yep.
That's all I did. Is
Yep,
ask you to
that
fill
is.
out that information.
And you didn't comply with any lawful command.
I said, give me a moment. I'm doing.
I gave you
this.
several moments.
No,
Yes.
disrespectful, man.
Yeah, I know you are.
No, oh man, I'm not going back and forth with you.
No,
You
you're
really
going to jail.
You doing this for money?
No.
You doing this for money?
I'm doing this because
You
I was
ran something,
conducting
you believe
speed
something, but it's not
enforcement
true.
for the safety of the public because we have several crashes at this intersection. You're driving 30 miles an hour over the speed limit, and then you refuse to provide a driver license when I
You
ask
ain't
for
give
it.
me the time. I can't. You talking about there's no such
you know
thing
what?
as additional license.
I'm going to write it in the police report just how many times I asked you and how long it took.
It's recorded.
Yes. Every single
Everything I
moment.
said is recorded.
Every single moment of our conversation.
My
is
actions
recorded.
is recorded. So you can see
Every
I'm
single
trying
moment.
to show you information.
No.
It's gonna show that you don't want to
It's
cooperate.
most certainly going to show that I asked you several times for an ID and you wanted to play in your phone and give me a paper to fill out.
My camera because I don't have. If you check my pockets, I don't have anything on my pockets. I just came from the gym. I'm trying to give you information.
You didn't try to give me anything. I'm going to get it right now. I need your right index finger.
I'm Jacquez of the Wilson family.
Jacquez of the Wilson family?
Yes.
Watch him for a couple
Is that your whole name? Jaquez?
10-4.
Is that how you spell it?
Uppercase J, lowercase a, uppercase W, of the family Wilson. So uppercase W,
Like that.
lowercase I, somewhat.
Somewhat, or that's not it?
Listen.
Is that how you spell your name or not?
I'm being held under duress.
Is that how you spell your name or not?
No.
How do you spell your name?
So there's an E at the end. I told you Jacq, uppercase J, A, lowercase a, C, uppercase. Like, listen, if
ESE?
ESE, that's how I spell my name. Lowercase a.
That's how it's on your
C,
driver's license.
Q,
The ESE?
U.
I don't know that he even has a driver license. I need your right index finger.
It's very
You can
difficult.
face that way, and I'll go ahead and take care of it. Face that way.
Is this for a citation?
Face that way. This is for your arrest paperwork. So face that way.
Listen, I have.
If you don't provide me with your ID,
no consent to scam me.
If you don't provide me with your ID, it's going to be an additional charge on your probable cause affidavit.
I would like to provide
Okay, then
you with
please face
information.
that way so I can get your identification.
But this is not the
I'm going to ask you again.
identification I'm
Please
trying to
face
provide
that way so I can provide you with you. You can provide me with your
You just
identification.
want to make this worse for me.
No, I don't.
Yes,
I want to make this as easy as possible,
I got all my
and you're making it
documentation.
difficult.
This is all under duress because I try to give you my
Excellent.
information.
Stop talking. Jacquez of the Wilson family. You should just do what the officer asks you. How hard is that?
I'm shaking because you scared me because you don't want to provide any kind of identification for
I
yourself.
couldn't even stand up
Right.
because
How hard is that?
I'm so scared. I'm under duress.
Right. You
I'm
look
scared.
like you're scared under duress. So stop talking and just mind your business under duress.
What does that mean?
That means shut up and mind your business.
You're right. This is not my business.
All right, your right finger again. Can you go see if he found this guy? Don't push down. I'm going to do the pressure
I'm
here.
not doing anything. You shaking.
Yeah, I'm shaking. I told you. You scared me because you don't want to provide any information about yourself.
I was scared. I couldn't even stand up. I was a deer in headlights. It's all recorded. I'm just thankful to be alive, but I see you got all this.
I don't know why you're trying to make it difficult for me. Right index finger.
I wasn't. I was really.
You were trying to make it very difficult
I
for
don't
me.
have my license and my pants, but I know I always have them on
1035
my
2 times
my
in the
phone.
C's tag.
Oh,
It's got
okay.
it with a picture and everything.
Oh, so your license is no good and they want your tag. That's why you didn't want to give me your information?
That's not completely true. I sent a letter to Miss Terry Rose for my authentication for my license, and that's true. And I have the paperwork, and I know what license. I have all this. I have proof of insurance. Listen, I'm not trying to harm anybody. You don't want to hear that. You want to send another black person on black jail.
This has nothing to do with black and
I
white.
do not. I'm not consenting. I do not want.
Okay,
I'm not
no problem.
consenting to jail. That's.
You don't have to consent to jail. You're going.
I'm. Okay.
Hey, just make it known that he doesn't
registered
consent
owner.
to jail.
Okay.
1035 DL.
So he's suspended. license not
Can you
valid.
just send me the just MDT me the driver license?
Oh my
And as I
God.
pull him out, he starts pulling away from me. So I push him into the door jam. Ask him to turn around several times. He won't turn around. That's when Gabino comes over and helps me take him down. We put him in hand tag on it because the state wants the tag back. So there's a chance that it gets towed by the plaza. Okay.
I would not. I wouldn't consent to that. Like before.
You don't listen.
I know you're trying.
We're
to
not talking
operate-
about consent
I know
or
you're
anything.
operating. Like honestly,
Okay.
you don't. Really
We're not talking about
necessarily
consent.
have
The
jurisdiction.
plaza doesn't need your consent to tow your vehicle if it's sitting
You
here
don't
with no
have the
tag on it and it's
jurisdiction
not
to
going
do
to
that.
move.
Like,
Listen to me, okay?
We need to-
I am not towing your car. I can't make that more clear. I am not towing your car. We're going to leave it here. What I'm trying to ask you is if there's anything valuable in your car that you'd like me to take out and put in the police department for safekeeping. Because there's a chance that the plaza owner tows your car because it's sitting here without a tag on it. I'm trying to be as nice as I possibly can to you, and you're making my job extremely difficult.
Listen,
so here's the thing. If you have something valuable in there that you'd like me to take out and put in the police department for safekeeping, tell me. If you don't have anything valuable in there, that's okay. I'll leave it all in there. If you don't want to answer the question, things are going to be left in there because I have no legal.
So your professional opinions on what was going on, what he could have done better.
Yeah.
You know, because we mentioned Stoicism and, you know, how to use that dealing with police officers, and especially as being an African American. And that's why I wanted to show this video because, you know, we on touching in that, I know you have experience in that, especially where you grew up and how, you know, black men were treated at that time and things like that, and how people are trying nowadays to use their skin color as a flag, if you will, to, you know, say that they're better than law or they can't be arrested. They don't give consent. You know, these certain things. It's like, what could he have just done to negate all of this? And he wouldn't have been arrested. And
exactly. And I feel like I'm a really good person to answer this question because I do currently work at the Department of Justice.
Exactly.
And I work with Secret Service agents. I work with ATF agents. I work with the Public Defender's Office. I work with the Sheriff's Department. And my thing is, I can see it from both perspectives. I tip my hat to these officers because they were very respectful, very patient, and they did everything within the right way of not hurting this young man. I don't think they used excessive force. I think this young man was being defiant. Anytime a police officer pulls you over, just give them what they're asking for. You rather fight you rather fight an officer in court than to fight an officer in the field. Fighting an officer in the field, the officer has the judge, the jury, everything on his side right then and there. If you just go ahead, give them the information, or if you're not legit, let them know. Say, hey, I'm not legit. You caught me. Let's move forward from here, whatever you feel is necessary. You taking me to jail, or, you know, you taking the car and letting me walk. When people say to comply, there is a point in that is valid. Me, myself, if I'm pulled over, I'm going to give the officer my license. Normally, they're going to ask you, do you know why I pulled you over? If you don't, tell them, I don't know why. If they tell you, say, okay. Thank you for letting me know. Here's my license. Here's my registration. Here's my insurance. I'd rather an officer be in your life 10 minutes of your life than 3 years you fighting a case in your life. It's going to take your time. It's going to take your emotions. And it's going to take, most important, your finances.
yeah.
So this young man was in the wrong. He was playing all kind of games. You know, he's lucky he didn't run across an agitated police officer that could have actually done him some harm. It takes me back to when you and I had brunch a week ago, and you were telling me an officer pulled you over, and you were very compliant, and you know that that's how I taught you.
Yeah.
You do not want to fight an officer on the side of the road. You have to remember, these officers deal with the worst people in society, so that's what's always on their mind. You deal with an officer maybe 2 or 3 times in a lifetime, but these officers deal with bad people all day, so they're not always in the right mind space to deal with somebody. So my advice is just give them your information, let it be 10 minutes of your day, and if you're gonna fight it in court. That's where you have a better chance and a better opportunity, and it shows your character too. A lot of young men in these videos I see, it goes back to when you were saying how young men are very emotional right now. That's a perfect example of being very emotional. You know, that's when you need to use your stoicism and say, hey, okay, officer, here's the information that you would like. You would have a better interaction with the officer if you conduct yourself in that manner. Young men, I wish I could tell you to not behave like this when police officers pull you over. Don't stick your phone in their face. Don't become unagreeable and not assisting them with the information. Is only going to work against you. And this is coming from somebody who works with law enforcement. I'm not a cop. I'm not a patrol officer, but I do work in the Department of Justice. So I work hand in hand with these different agencies. And for any man, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, the way you conduct yourself when a police officer pulls you over, just give them what they're asking for and fight them in court if you don't agree with it.
Yeah.
That's the best way to go about it, because you're not going to win on the side of the road.
Yeah, yeah. And I also show this video to explain to people why Stoicism is so important, because this is a situation where it's not between the relationships of a man and woman. You know, this is how you conduct yourself in life.
Exactly.
And if you can apply Stoicism not just in a relationship with a woman as a man,
Right.
but also in society and in this situation, if he practiced Stoicism, sure, yes, his license was legit, his tags weren't legit and stuff like that, but the cop would have been way more lenient if he did exercise it. And he'd have been like, all right, look, man, you know what? I got you for this. I'm just going to write you for the ticket, and that's that. Get this stuff handled, you know, and next time I see you, I want to see it handled. You know what I mean? And he would have been lenient like that, just in the demeanor and the way he was speaking to the officer and stuff like that. There's also another thing I wanted to ask you. Since you are on both sides, as being an African-American man, and you work with, as a contractor, with all of these agencies, the black and versus blue movement, you know, and how that is going on, you know, police brutality, and, you know, people are feeling that, you know, the things that cops are doing are unjust, just because there's one rotten apple in the basket means they're all rotten, things like that. Your thoughts on the black versus blue movement?
Well, since I'm on the inside and I get to see both perspectives, I know some amazing police officers, and I've come across some assholes, you know, who have tried to belittle me, and they didn't know I knew who was over them, and they ended up having to tuck their tail. But that goes back to conducting yourself in the right manner. The young man, he should have had a lot more self-control and a lot more respect for himself to cooperate, because the police officer could have said, you know, hey, instead of taking you to jail, I'll let you call somebody to come get the car. It's a very tough line, because a lot of it has to do with character. You know, me personally, how I make it as a black man is I treat people well. You know, if in a situation like that where a police officer comes to me, I'm going to treat them like I would want to be treated. Okay, officer, you know, I didn't know that I was going that fast. I apologize. You know, and a lot of times you have to use the right words, you know, to get what you want. You can't be an asshole and expect someone to treat you well or give you breaks. You have to be giving. So in the fight between black and the blue line, you know, I think it goes back to your character, you know, and how you're conducting yourself, because a person can only react to how you're behaving. You know, if you're behaving in a respectful, mature manner, then the other person has no other choice but to behave. And if they don't behave, well, the ball is already in your court, because they've shown themselves to be not respectful and, you know, not compliant to working with you. So it's a fine line to cross, because like I said, I've come across some officers who were trying to abuse their power, and they didn't know I knew who I knew. And so it bit them in the ass, and they had to come back and apologize. They were like, oh, wow, he knew people that are over me. You know, so, you know, you never know who knows who.
Exactly.
But young men of color, I just advise you to conduct yourself as the king that you are. You have royal blood going through your blood. Any brown, Hispanic, black young man, we come from a bloodline of kings and queens, and we have been diminished. So you have to remember that you have to set the example. And so in situations like this, coming in contact with police officers, you have to conduct yourself like a respectful person, and you'll get that respect. Trust me and believe me, you will get it. You have to set the example. So that's my opinion on between the black and the blue line. You have to set the standard. Just behave in a manner in which shows nothing but class and dignity. And I guarantee you'll get that back. That's how I've survived, and that's how my son has survived. You know?
Yeah, because it just upsets me, the fact that people will look at one cop and he
blame the whole department.
Yeah, exactly. No. And they can't trust police officers, and they're against. And I understand, you may have your own personal gripes towards police officers and things like that, but the overall arcing thing is you should have respect for them, because they're people at the end of the day. And take every cop as their own individual, not as a umbrella of, I saw a video of a cop doing this, and and it just, somebody who is African American with dark skin working with these people day to day, you know what I mean? You talk to them, you interact with them, you get to see this behind the scenes, what people aren't seeing, and that's why I knew your perspective on even this would be very unique. Because a lot of people have all these opinions about police officers and the police department and how they're handling things and situations and stuff like that, when it's like, why don't you take a step back, turn that mirror around, and look at your actions first?
Exactly.
Because your actions are conductive of what the officer is going to reciprocate.
Exactly.
You see what I mean?
Yep.
And the fact that you brought that point out, like, young black men first look at yourself and how you're acting, and then if the officer wants to act like a dick and be mean and all this kind of stuff, then that's on him.
That's on him.
You didn't bring that out in him. That's just who he is. He is an actual asshole, like you said. That one guy that tried to test you, you didn't cause that testing to happen. You simply spoke to him in a proper manner, and he spoke to you as a lesser, and then he found out, oh wow, we're equals. You know what I mean? And then that kind of made him feel stupid in a way. He didn't have to say anything to make that guy feel stupid. He made himself feel stupid. And that garners more respect than you personally attacking somebody trying to make them feel stupid. And that was the big point I was trying to get across, because that's what a lot of these guys try to do. They try to make the police officer feel stupid. Like he doesn't know the law. Like he doesn't know what's going on. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? Take a step back, look at your own actions, and act accordingly. And
remember, he has the power in that situation. So why even fight that power? Your fight is in court if you're gonna fight. Don't let him be judge and jury on the side of the road. That signing that ticket is just an admission to go to court, to show up to court if you're gonna fight it, or if you decide to pay it. Don't look at it as anything or anything more or anything less. So young men out there, I stress to you, do not behave like this on the side of the road with the cops. You're inviting a ass whooping or potentially death. And if you are looking for a payday in court, make sure that the officer did violate your Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights, because that's the only way you're going to win in court, is if they violated your Fourth or Fifth Amendment rights. If they didn't, and you caused them to yank you out the car and beat your ass on the side of the road,
like this young man,
then you just wasted your time, your money, and your resources on something that could have took you 10 minutes out of your day, and you'd have been moved on.
And for the people, your Fourth and Fifth Amendments are?
Your Fourth Amendment right is to be in public and the freedom of speech. They can't search and seizure you without your consent. But this young man, he was not complying. He took an oath to drive in the city and in the state, so you contract with a license to drive and operate in the city if you're going to drive your automobile. Your Fifth Amendment rights, that goes with your freedom of speeches. He was claiming that they did affect his Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights, but they didn't. He didn't cooperate in the capacity that he's supposed to cooperate. So that's what I mean by creating a situation like this and then trying to turn it into a civil lawsuit by saying, they took away my Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights. That's a whole different subject. That goes into recording in public, having freedom of speech.
Yeah, the right to remain silent.
Yeah, the right to remain silent. Well, this young man, he was operating a vehicle, so he's contracted to give the police officer his information according to the laws on the streets.
Yeah.
So this particular situation, I feel the police were very patient and very thorough. Very articulate. They asked the same information over and over again. I don't think they went over. I think this young man was looking for an interaction, and thank God the police didn't give him the interaction, because he could have ended up in a lot worse situation than he was in.
Yeah. Now, what? I'm gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate here, but what would you say to a person who is an activist that believes that what they did was police brutality? What would you say to a person that
believes that was police brutality?
They would look at it like that.
Well,
just to play devil's advocate,
I would say that you need to check your character, and that maybe you're out there looking for excuses to claim brutality.
Okay.
That totally wasn't brutality.
Yeah.
I deal with these situations on a daily basis, and I've come across people who were way more aggressive than these police officers were with this man. I mean, to an extent, they don't know what he's going to do. I mean, they've been patient, and they've been asking for his identification. He explained to him that he was going 30 miles over the speed limit. So right there, okay, I need to give you my license. You're claiming that.
He showed him the
speed on So people that are saying that this is police brutality, it's not. It's just people that are looking for trouble. And unfortunately, we're living in a time where that is prevalent right now. People are trying to get footage of police officers doing things wrong. And 9 times out of 10, it's the person recording that's acting a fool. You can make it easy on yourself, or you can make it hard on yourself.
Exactly.
I choose to make it easy on myself because I'm not trying to be in nobody's jail. I don't have finances to be hiring a lawyer. Trust me, I work with some attorneys, and if you want to give them your money, they'll be more than willing to take it. But a lot of situations like this can be avoided. They really can be avoided in how you conduct yourself. Have pride in yourself. Have enough pride in yourself to be the example to that police officer. That I'll take it to that extent. Have enough self-respect to not even allow yourself to be put in that situation,
because he doesn't see that all the time,
right?
And that's going to take him back, like, whoa, okay, you're actually showing me respect. You're actually, and he's gonna cut you some slack,
exactly,
because he doesn't see that every day,
right? You're gonna set a standard for him. He's gonna be like, wow, there are some young,
because like you said, he deals with the worst of the worst people
all day,
every day. So when he gets that one person that's compliant, just doing what they got to do, he looks at it like, man,
He might even help you get back to the house safely.
You know,
just for the simple fact that you helped make his day a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know that the police officer has more confidence in society again.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to look at both sides of the pendulum.
Yeah.
And be the example in the situation. In all situations, if you can, be the example. You know, so that
goes back to being masculine and going back to
that is masculine.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, wow, you took charge of a situation that could have went way bad, and you took it and made it way good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's, to me, is strength and character.
Yeah. All right. Man, you guys been getting some juice today. This is stuff you usually got to pay for, because experience is something that you can't
borrow, beg, buy, or steal.
Exactly. There you go.
Either you have it or you don't.
Yeah. And I feel like more than ever, people needed to hear this because you're in such a unique position where you've gone from being in the hood to getting into the suburbs, master's degree, doing numerous amounts of jobs and things. I mean, you've lived many, many lives. So many people live just this or just that or just, you've lived so many different lives. It's good to hear from people. And I feel people with your kind of knowledge need to share more online and need to expose themselves a little more because their knowledge is buried. As of now, it's buried on top of so much garbage and BS that people are trying to push. And it's like, hold on, let's talk to the people who actually have experiences. Why are we listening to a 19, 20-year-old trans person who thinks they know how the world works?
Right.
Instead of listening to someone who is in their 50s and they've lived a life worth talking about. That person who's 19, 20, they don't know anything about life. They don't know what's going on. And me, I'm almost 30 years old. So for me, I look at it like I've lived a lot of different lives within, the span of just being 19 to 29. And for me, I look at it like I do have a limited amount of knowledge I can share, but that amount of knowledge is limited to me. And that's why I decided to have you as a guest, because now you can take that knowledge and extend it and be kind of a role model, be somebody when somebody watches this video or they listen to the audio on Spotify, they really can resonate with it. And, young men that don't have dads can really be like, oh, shoot, okay. This guy's speaking some facts. He's actually showing me how to be a man in both regards, as well as dealing with people in society is the reason why we watch this video, and also dealing with women and being a man in a relationship.
That's right.
That's why we talked about everything we did. I wanted to let you guys know that this is how you should be in society, whether you're in a relationship or you're in society dealing with police officers, dealing with other people, dealing with, asshole coworkers, all kinds of facets of life. This type of knowledge fits.
Yep.
And you can apply it to every facet of your life. You can wake up and apply this knowledge to your life, and you'll be a better person.
Yep.
And I feel like there are so many people who are trying to abolish that. And it is sad because it's a dying breed. And I want to try to be on that side of young men who are trying to bring it back.
Right.
I just don't want to do it in a very negative way.
Right.
I feel like a lot of people are doing it in very negative ways because they're trying to push this, I don't want to say agenda, but they're trying to push this knowledge in such a forceful way. And it's like, don't do that.
Yeah, because
You-
most people won't receive it if you're pushing it like that.
Exactly.
You have to present it in a manner in which people don't become defensive, so that they can let their guard down and receive it. They know that you're coming from a kind, caring place, and not just a preaching place where I want to preach to you and tell you what you should do, but come from a kind, caring, compassionate place. So I'm very proud of you, son. You know, you've confirmed. By listening to you, you confirmed a lot of things to me that I was telling you, and you were listening.
Exactly. And I have a larger female audience than I do a male audience, and this is also indicative to helping women out there as well.
Right.
Just because you now understand the traits you should be looking for in a man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because obviously he exhibits and exudes the traits that a man should have for you to take him serious.
Right.
You know, a lot of women choose men based on how the man makes them feel. He's not necessarily a good guy. He's not necessarily the guy for her, but she just goes with that. And I think so many women trip on that. And then when, you know, they get cheated on or they're broken up with or, you know, they're left and this and that, you know, they feel like, oh, men, you know, are trash and they're this and that. But it's like you're looking for the wrong qualities in a man.
Yeah.
And I think, and even when you ask a woman, I've listened to numerous podcasts where they've interviewed thousands upon thousands of women, and the men would ask them, what do you think a man is looking for in a woman? And they don't know. They're like, I don't know. And so for me, I would love for this to be a thing where we can have an open discussion and say, hey, look, these are the qualities in a man that you should look for as a woman. If you want to find you a good man, these are the qualities he needs to have for you and for you to have a successful relationship and to be able to have a real man, you know, because a lot of these guys, they're just not.
Right.
And you're sitting there and you're like, dude, why are you crying in front of your girl? Why are you, you know, doing all this fuck shit? What are you doing? You're showing your girl that you're unreliable. You're showing her that she can't count on you. She can't look to you during tough times.
Right.
And that she could do better.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know? And I don't want to, you know, dwell on it too much, but it's one of those things where I wanted to have this conversation to allow men to get knowledge from a man who has lived it, not just speaking from what he saw online.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I see way too many young guys try to articulate things online and depict it as real life.
Right. They're just regurgitating what they heard.
Exactly.
They haven't actually experienced it and lived it, fell, got scraped, and then got back up and healed it.
Exactly. But you have done that.
Yeah.
And that's why I want this to be a preventative for them, you know, to where it's like you're giving them that knowledge. And then before they make that decision, they're like, wait a minute. No, this is not right for me.
Exactly.
No, this is not. Because I think people take internet knowledge a little more serious than they've ever taken it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, this is the best medium to give your knowledge and to tell your story.
Exactly.
You know?
And, you know, we need more of that. You know, we're cramming all the garbage down young men and young women's throat. We're cramming all of this sexuality and this bad music and you know stupidity. It gets all the attention, but they don't ever talk about that young 15-year-old kid that's graduating college. You know, that he's excelling in music or excelling in the arts and actually doing something positive. They give all the attention to the idiots and the people who are out there doing stupid stuff for views and for clout, instead of actually empowering one another like you're doing, son. Like you're sharing good information so people can be successful in life. By rewarding all this idiocy is not helping people to be productive in society, not helping them to have a great future. You're just looking for the next idiot so you can have the next viral moment. And that's where society is right now. So I applaud you for trying to bring positive information, constructive information to young men and women out here, because it's really, really needed.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful to be here to
Yeah.
help you with that mission.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, this has been a great episode. I just want to say thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys got a lot of knowledge. I hope that you guys really enjoyed the episode. You enjoyed the guest and all that he had to say, because this is knowledge that I would hope that you guys apply to your life, and it does help you in some way. If not, it was just entertaining. It is knowledge that you can learn and share to a colleague. I don't want to cram this down your throat. I'm not saying you need to go out there and, do this and do that, but it's okay to be a better person at the end of the day.
Yep.
And, like I said, if you guys want to just see clips, we have TikTok and Instagram for that. If you don't have time for a full episode, Spotify as well as YouTube. Keep downloading the podcast. I appreciate that so much. YouTube, subscribe, comment. If you have any questions for the guest, please do send them in. I will relay it to him all the time, and I can have him on again, and he can answer some of you guys' questions on that as well. If it's life advice, if it's relationship advice, whatever it is, he's got the knowledge for it. I have some knowledge, but to a bit of a smaller capacity, and he has it to a greater capacity, and I don't mind bringing him back, and we answer you guys' questions and all that kind of stuff. But that seems to be it. Oh, the Patreon. Go ahead and follow on the Patreon if you want to have your situation on the show. And we can even have future guests, or even if, when he comes back on the show, we can have you guys on there, just like the scenario that we had today. That was from Patreon, $3 a month. You can send me as many scenarios as you want. It's not just one. So $3 a month. You can send me as many situations as you want. You get an episode every Friday. And that's about it. Peace and love you guys.
Awesome.